Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Thank God I'm again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Of the Sports Bash Live, Phillies day game baseball. We're watching it over at Ventnor Social. Stop on out and see the show live. Phil's locked in a 0-0 battle with the Padres. Phil's going for the sweep with Zach Wheeler. He's got a no-no going. Should I not say that?
Yeah, I don't think you should have said that.
Damn it.
He does have a walk.
Tough start to the show today.
6 Ks.
Wheeler, perfect, almost. Gave up one walk through 4. Phillies and Padres, 0-0. Bills won last night. Christopher Sanchez falls a little short of history, but a big night for Sanchez. We'll get into that. We got the Phillies fastball postgame today at 4:30. Jeff and Oscar will drop in. Jeff's actually live at Citizens Bank Park, so he'll join us right after the game is over from the ballpark with an update on the Phils and the Padres as the Phils go for the sweep today. They got 2 on with 2 outs here. What's it, the 4th inning? So Phil's trying to put a couple on the board. But, man, Bryson Stott looks like he's still got a little life. But last night, another putrid night from the offense where they get a couple of solo bombs, one from Real Muto, one from Schwarber. And that's about all the offense for the night for them. They did get 1 run earlier in the game. They win 3-2 because Christopher Sanchez last night was dominating. Sanchez, I don't know, and this is where I wanted some help from the listeners today. 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. I don't know of a guy. Does anybody have a player who has come more out of right field as Stott gets an RBI, Harper scores, and the Phils are on the board 1-0? Can anybody come up with, okay? This is what I'm looking for today. Can anybody come up with a player that has come more out of right field to be the level of player that Christopher Sanchez is than Christopher Sanchez? Remember, now, I heard Matt Klintak on a podcast the other day. He was on the Philly Show podcast. We forget, Matt Klintak was the GM who traded for Christopher Sanchez. He doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot of things, but he traded for Christopher Sanchez, and he traded a guy named Curtis Mead. how many people can anybody give me? And it doesn't have to be baseball. It could be any Philadelphia sports team where the trade that you made at the time, you don't even remember it. It didn't stand out. And the player you got back. Now, I have one. I actually do have a name. And I want to see if anybody guesses that name today. But what I'm looking for is a trade that the team made, and the return became a player that now sits in the top of the pantheon of the organization.
Does it have to be a trade, or can it be like a late round pick?
Anything okay. Where a guy that was acquired, you didn't think anything of it at the time, and then that player became the level of Christopher Sanchez is essentially the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, he is essentially, by the way, he's the Cy Young leader in the National League, right? That didn't change after last night. I know Mizorowski is having an unbelievable season, and if these two guys are going mano-a-mano like this all summer long, this Cy Young thing is going to be wild.
He's going to start the All-Star game, I imagine.
I would imagine, you're right, that he starts the All-Star game. I would imagine that, right now, he is the leader. Let's see, in the I don't have – it's weird. Josh, do you have – because I'm using one of the – it feels like some of these apps don't give you the Cy Young every single day. Right? I'm on like one of the apps, and it says awards, but the only award it has is National League MVP, Ohtani versus the field.
Shocker.
You can't even bet the American League MVP or anything else. So you got to try to find a different app that has the Cy Young. But I would imagine that he's the Cy Young candidate. But think about that. You made a trade for a guy nobody thought of at the time, and that was in 2019. Now it's 2026. And he is, last year, the runner-up for the Cy Young. And this year, he is the leader for the Cy Young. I do have one player, and I want to get your guys.
I got one as well.
You do?
Yes.
Josh, do you have one?
I have a couple written down.
Sanchez, by the way, plus 125. Mizorowski, plus 200. Shohei Ohtani, plus 550. Chris Sale, plus 950. Paul Skeens, plus 950. Chase Burns, plus 2,500. Kyle Harrison, plus 2,500. Yamamoto, plus 2,500. Wheeler, plus 4,500. I actually wouldn't mind throwing a little money on Wheeler at plus 4,500.
With this outing today.
He's only had one bad outing, really.
And that was the last one, right?
Yeah, he gave up 4 solo homers.
Yeah.
I mean, Sanchez has a couple bad outings this year.
But the month of May for Wheeler was, if Christopher Sanchez didn't do what he did, we'd be talking about wheels.
609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. By the way, we are live today at Ventnor Social. Now, let me tell you, we stopped in Ventnor Social. We got here a little early. They had a little food out for us.
They sure did.
And we got Gina and the Minions hanging out over at the table here.
West Virginia
Will.
Yeah,
West Virginia Will is in the house, right?
Yep. And
we got new intern West Virginia Will. So
Rich.
WVU. And Rich
Yes.
Rowan, right? Rowan Rich.
There you go.
All right, and then we
Stockton
got
Gina.
former intern Gina, now bossy Gina.
Stockton grad Gina, too,
Yeah,
by the way.
recent Stockton grad
Yes.
Gina. Not Gina Carano, who got her ass kicked by Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
I saw Gina that night. She was working that night, and we went and saw the Lenny Kravitz concert. I said, how was the Kravitz concert? She said, she didn't like it. She said, I didn't know any of the songs. You didn't go to the Kravitz concert.
I didn't go to the
You were
concert.
supposed to go.
I was supposed to go,
We
yeah.
went to the concert.
But now
and then I walked up the escalator, and who's standing there?
Her?
Bossy Gina.
In a yellow security jacket,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So she could Gina Carano your ass if she
Yeah.
sees you acting out of line over there. Anyway, we're at Ventnor Social, and we have all this food laid out for us thanks to Shane and the guys here at Ventnor Social. Now, they've got a little something going on. They are doing Santucci slices today from 1 till 6. So come in, grab a slice, and get 15% off poker chip towards your next pizza. So if you come in today and you grab a slice of the pizza, you get a 15% poker chip. That is good for the next time you order a pie from Santucci's. Now, PG, we come to Ventnor Social once a month. Love it. I always order something off the menu here. And then when I leave, I generally bring home a Santucci's pizza when I go home because they're right next door. But right now, you can stop in today from 1 to 6, come in, grab a slice for the Phillies game. You get a 15% off poker chip good towards your next pizza. It's only for the Ventnor spot right here at 6417 Ventnor Avenue. Now, we got the game on here, and it's nothing. But does anybody have a player, 609-403-0973, a player that has far exceeded anything you would have thought about them? I have one guy who came over in a trade that I can think of off the top of my head. And I'm wondering if there's any other guy out there. Now, Josh, who's your guy?
So I have 3 names written down. Want me to give you all 3?
Sure.
So I got Jason Worth.
Jason Worth, good one. Signed it. We used to see him at the bar at spring training, and at that time, he was – now, Worth had been a first-round pick.
Correct.
And he had been hurt a lot. It was
a lot hurt.
And they signed him as kind of like a waiver type of thing where, hey, we'll take a flyer on him, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. You are right. That's a good one.
My second one I got is Shane Victorino.
Shane Victorino, Rule 5. Now,
that's a good one.
He turned into a good player. Rule 5 guys do, I mean, the best Rule 5 guy of all time. Can you name him?
Best Rule 5 guy of all time.
Best Rule 5 guy of all time.
I feel like I'm drawing a blank on this. Pete, you got a guess?
I got nothing.
Anybody out there? I'll give you a couple minutes to chime in.
Well, I went with Shane also because he was an all-star. So
this is like Philly stump the fans.
Where's Kruk when you need him?
Yeah, we need Kruk. You like to have 7 innings to think about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Roberto Clemente was a Rule 5 guy. So.
Okay, well, that takes the cake.
But that's not the guy I'm thinking of.
You want one more from me? The guy who no one expected?
Mm-hmm.
How about Jordan Mailata?
That's my guy. Yep, 7th round pick.
It's that one. There's no argument for me on
rugby
that
player,
one.
Right?
Yeah, there's no argument for me on that one. Here's a guy who you took a flyer on in the 7th round and he turns into an all-pro player. You can make a movie about that guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know that anything tops that guy unless this guy, Uar Bernard, ends up
right
being something.
Unless Uar Bernard becomes like a perennial all-pro and you're just like, well, there's that guy.
Yeah. Now, your guy was Mailata.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one that I think is similar to Sanchez.
What sport?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Okay.
Phillies.
Yeah, no. I'm looking at for a Philadelphia sports figure that is in the same realm as Sanchez. A guy that was nondescript, didn't think anything of him when you got him.
Nobody knew who he was.
Nobody knew who he was. He had pitched for you, never thought much of him. And then a couple of years later, he became the leader for Cy Young, runner-up for Cy Young, and the best pitcher in baseball. My guy is
a pitcher,
Curt Schilling.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. That's a good one.
The Phillies traded Jason Grimsley for Curt Schilling. It was a nondescript trade. It was just two guys who were,
Schilling was a failed closer.
He was a bullpen guy for Baltimore. He was with the Astros and Baltimore.
Yep.
And the Phillies just said, hey, look, we'll swap you. Now, Jason Grimsley had been a guy who some people thought might have been a something, and I don't think he ever became an anything.
No, and they took PEDs and made things worse for himself.
Well, the Phillies traded Grimsley for Schilling, and it was just a nondescript trade in like 1991 or 1992. And the Phillies basically convert Schilling to become a starter. And that's when Schilling takes off. And basically by 93, he becomes a Cy Young candidate. And by 94, 95, he's now one of the best pitchers in baseball. The Phillies end up trading him, and he becomes most likely, if Curt Schilling wasn't so vocal off the field, he probably would be a Hall of Famer. So,
by the way, that trade, really quick, Mike, that trade was the day before the start of the 92 season.
Okay. So 92, they trade for, and am I right? It was Grimsley?
It was Grimsley.
I was just going off the top of my head. So there was a possibility I could have been wrong, but I like the fact that nobody fact checked me on that one.
Well, I was looking it up while you were talking.
That's good though. I mean, 1-for-1 trade and you get Curt Schilling.
Just two, I think, disappointing pitchers in your organization. Let's just swap them. I mean, at the time you're thinking, who cares? It's Curt Schilling for Jason Grimsley. And then Schilling makes a start at some point, and rest is history. I would go on to say right now that Christopher Sanchez, now we talked about this, it was last Thursday actually, Josh, 5 best pitchers since 1980 for the Phillies.
Right.
You got Wheeler, you've got Halladay, you've got Carlton, you've got, do you want to put we were talking, did we put Schilling in there? But as you keep watching Christopher Sanchez, it's becoming more and more apparent that not only is he like having an unbelievable season, he might be the best pitcher in baseball.
He's having an unbelievable stretch of years here. 2 years, I guess. 2.5 years now with this season here.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Is the stretch that he is having, forget May and what he's done the last 50. How many innings did it end up going? 50.2.
Yeah.
I think 50 2/3 was the actual.
Well, the big deal is that he is now one of only 5 pitchers ever to have at least 50 innings of scoreless baseball consecutively. Like that in of itself takes him beyond. It's no longer just, hey, you broke the Phillies record. It's no, this dude is in the same conversation as Walter Johnson.
As I was watching it last night, and I said yesterday that he was going to just keep going because the Padres are so bad, and they get that double with 2 outs, and you're thinking, all right, there's 2 outs, he's going to get through this inning, and then Sheets kind of pokes one the opposite way.
Did you see what she said after the game last night?
No.
He said he kind of felt bad because he was like, I ruined this guy's scoreless.
Of course you do. Well, you know what? Like, you ever see, Kurt Schilling? Speaking of Kurt Schilling, was it Kurt Schilling? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Kurt Schilling. Kurt Schilling was throwing a no-hitter in the 9th inning. Do you know what happened?
Gave up a hit.
But do you know how it happened?
Bunt?
Do you know who bunted it?
No.
Ben Davis.
Oh my
I did see that video.
Yeah, Ben Davis.
With the Padres, right?
Yes, lays down a bunt for a base hit, and
Yeah.
he breaks up the no-hitter.
I mean,
there was a lot of
pathetic.
controversy about that.
That's pathetic. Bad job by Davis.
Did they ever ask Davis about that, like recently? Like,
I don't know. I don't know, but I saw the video of it too recently where Schilling's throwing a no-hitter. Davis was a left-handed hitter. He drag bunts it and beats it out, and that breaks up the no-hitter.
Good grief.
Christopher Sanchez, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts.
There's
a
a
scoreless
bomb
inning streak.
by Garcia, by the way.
By the way, Garcia, I tweeted this out last night.
Yeah.
Garcia's starting to get going.
He is.
I feel like he hit the ball in the screws the other day. Last night he ripped one, and then I feel like he is having better at-bats, better approaches, and better everything.
Dude, that was a bomb.
And, I mean, they talked about it. He was on the off day on Monday. He was at Citizens Bank Park taking BP.
Well, he needs to. So Sanchez last night, scoreless inning streak ends at 50 2/3. It's the 5th longest scoreless inning streak in a season since the mound was moved back. And it's the longest ever by any left-handed pitcher in the history of the game. In 13 starts this year, Christopher Sanchez has 103 strikeouts. He is now the 5th different pitcher in Phillies history to have 100 strikeouts through 13 starts. The other ones are Kurt Schilling, Zach Wheeler, who both did it twice, Cliff Lee, and Steve Carlton. That's what you ended up getting last night. So the list now looks like this: Oral Hershiser, Don Drysdale, Walter Johnson, Jack Combs, and Christopher Sanchez. That is the list. So Christopher Sanchez, I think, more so than almost anybody, has become one of the most unbelievable pitching stories or baseball stories that you can come up with. Like, Paul Skeens was a first-round draft choice, okay? It makes sense.
Right.
Shohei Ohtani was a guy that everybody had heard about. Like, throw a pitcher's name, and they have some sort of credentials that you're not all that surprised by. This guy was a nobody. A nobody. It's the most unbelievable. Every time he pitches, I'm like, how did this happen? Like last night when he was talking with Diego, I'm laughing. I'm like,
that's your boy, Diego.
That's my boy, Diego. I'm laughing, though, like the fact that this guy's answering these questions about his performance of a 50-plus inning strikeout streak. He's got to be like, I can't even believe this is happening to me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All right, 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. We'll hit up on some text messages on the other side. Keep the text messages coming in. We're live at Ventnor Social today. you can stop out and see the show live. And don't forget, when you stop out, they got the pizza here till 6 o'clock. Grab a slice, and you'll get a 15% off for your next buy. Plus, you can sign up today. Now, last time we were here, now I told Bossy Gina, last time we were here, Vince rocked. He was unbelievable.
Tall Vince, yep.
Tall Vince. It was unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Vince is a legend in the making.
Yeah.
It was a Christopher Sanchez-like performance by Tall Vince.
This is a Andrew Painter type of.
I would say more Taiwan Walker.
Ooh,
wow.
wow.
All right. Sorry about that. So you can see Bossy Gina and sign up to get your name in the box. Tall Vince last week, I think he ended up getting like 30 people in that box. So that's going to be a tough number. Gina, that's going to be a tough number for you to surpass. Last week, Tall Vince, last time we were here, Tall Vince had probably, now Josh says over 30 signups last week or last time we were here. All right. So now you got a tough road ahead of here. All right. Let's see how she handles this. She's probably going to tell the other two guys that are going to do it for her.
I was going to say, how does she handle this pressure? That's what I want to know.
Right. All right. 609-403-0973. Sign up for the trip to Baltimore to see the Phillies play the Orioles at Camden Yards. That game is on July 31st. The next time we're here will be your last chance, and that's the day we're giving the trip away. July 29th. It's a Wednesday. Day game, Phillies, watch party, Ventnor Social. Sign up, and you have one more chance to sign up. It will be next time we're here. And then all the people who entered, you will be in the box, and we will pick out a winner, and that person's going to see the Phillies. That show's on Wednesday. The game is on Friday. All right, so the Phillies play the Orioles at Camden Yards on that Friday, and we're going to be live here on the 29th. But today we're live here till 6. The pizza's out. They also got, a little cheesesteak over there?
Cheesesteak fries over there as well.
Nice.
You watched game 1 last night?
I didn't watch the whole game. I tuned it in after the Phillies game, and it was like
fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson took over.
Brunson. I picked the Knicks to win it. I'm picking the Knicks to win the series. This hour of the show, it's brought to you by the law offices of Craig A. Altman.
Listen, if you unfortunately get into a car accident, a slip and fall, an injury, whatever might happen to you, you don't want to hope for the best when it comes to dealing with the insurance companies. You need a Chris Sanchez type performance on your side when you go to court to deal with an injury. That's why you need the law offices of Craig A. Altman to help you out on Delsey Drive in Vineland. Don't go with some person you saw on television who tells you there's some successful law firm. No, go to the law offices of Craig A. Altman on Delsey Drive in Vineland to help you succeed against the insurance companies. CraigAltmanLaw.com is the website, or give them a call right now at 856-327-8899.
All right, don't forget the upstairs is open too. So you can stop in and go upstairs here at Ventnor Social, 6417 Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor. When we come back, the text board has been lighting up, 609-403-0973. We got day baseball, Phillies watch party. It is bases loaded, nobody out. Phil's up 2-0. What happens? Stick around. We'll tell you coming up next.
It's the Stanley Cup Final on Sports USA, and we're in Carolina as the Vegas Golden Knights battle the Hurricanes in Game 2.
Backdoor, they score! That's hockey, baby! Shane Gostis fair. The ghost appears.
Game 2 tonight on your home for the Stanley Cup Final, Sports USA.
Listen to the Stanley Cup Final. Game 2 tonight. Hurricanes, Golden Knights. Coverage begins at 7:30 on 97.3 ESPN.
When the moments in your life are too important to miss, you can trust O'Reilly Auto Parts to keep you and your plans on the road. Our professional parts people can test your vehicle's battery and even give it a charge if needed. In most cases, we can install your new battery for free. It's just one of the many services we provide at O'Reilly Auto Parts to ensure life's best moments don't find you stranded.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy,
You're listening to the Sports Bag with Mike Gill.
And it just keeps getting better.
97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, stop out. We're at Ventnor Social today. Stop out, get a little slice. You get the slice, you get the 15% off chip for your next Santucci's Pizza. Ventnor Social, 64-17. Now, Phil's had bases loaded, nobody out. Now they're down to first and third with 2 outs. No runs across. Still 2-0 Phil's.
And on the other side, Padres still no hits across.
They stink. Now, what do you think is the oh, my Lord. They
Turner.
just tried to pick Turner off first base. They threw it, and a run came home.
This is a bad news Bears all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Awful. And all of a sudden, have you watched this series? They're terrible, the Padres.
Well, I mean,
I don't know how they have a winning record. Oh,
that throw is
man.
ridiculous.
They win today, that'll be a season sweep of San Diego.
Okay, why do you think the Padres decided yesterday was the day to release Nick Castellanos?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't
Do
know.
you have a theory? Do you have a guess? Like, do you have a story in your head? Did you conjure anything up?
Are they trying to stick it to him? Maybe he's a bad clubhouse guy.
I read something on Twitter last night that he was walking around Morristown, and I guess that's where he used to live. They said, "Oh, I saw Nick Castellanos walking around Morristown last night."
He used to live in
That's
Fred
what I
Simmons' old
need.
house. Yeah.
I need some truth serum injected into Sirianni and Castellanos, put on a podcast together. See what
you
happens.
have like any theory though as to why yesterday?
Why they would fly him across the country, not play him in the first game?
I mean,
the first game it was a righty pitcher.
Right. Okay.
The first game, the Phillies
so he could have played yesterday against Sanchi.
Well, if you remember, before the game, the Phillies had reporters talking to him, and I think it was Amy Fadul from NBC Philadelphia asked him, like, hey, you probably are going to face Sanchez tomorrow. Like, what are your thoughts? And he kind of is like, oh, he's really good, blah, 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 blah. And then he gets cut. Now, do you think that he was supposed to be – he thought he was going to be in the lineup, and they said, you're not in the lineup?
And he threw a fit.
And then threw a Castellano. Maybe he had a beer.
Maybe he had a Modelo. Yeah.
Maybe he brought a Modelo into the
manager's office and put it down and said, we're going to have a conversation.
And they cut him right there on the spot. Like, could that have happened?
Maybe.
I was like, why yesterday? What are they doing?
I feel like Castellanos would like to be. You guys ever watch the show Brockmire?
I used to.
Wouldn't Castellanos be like a perfect character, like to fit into that show?
Castellanos is just such an oddball.
That's what I mean. That show, every ball player on that team is just so weird.
So I think yesterday he thought he's going to play. He's not in the lineup, and he's like, all right, I've had it. Because there was reports yesterday that he was already becoming unhappy with his role, which is odd because he had said that they were upfront with him.
Right.
And that was the difference between the Phillies and the Padres was he was more accepting of his role because they were upfront with him about his role.
Right. The whole point of what Castellanos – part of the reason why he said what he said about the Phillies was because he was asked about, hey, what's the difference? And he said, Padres have been more upfront with me. They've been more honest with me, unlike my experience in Philadelphia. And people were like, oh, great, here we go. Castellanos complaining again. I guess things weren't as upfront as he thought.
He's batting one. He was batting 191.
Well, we know he was, but
he's
that's
not
the whole
earning
thing.
His more playing time.
So yesterday he's facing a lefty in Philadelphia, and he probably figures I'm going to get to play against my former team.
Right.
And they said, no, you're not playing today. And then maybe that's when the bleep hit the fan and they just cut his ass.
I kind of hope it is.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a hilarious story.
That makes sense.
Oh, my God. I was cracking up like thinking about that. I'm like, because Sanchez is pitching. This is his only game that he thought he would get a chance to play in Philadelphia. You know, he probably wanted to play desperately today, right? Or
absolutely.
Yesterday. 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. What do we got?
Oh, we got tons of people chiming in on your somebody who came out of nowhere. I got to say, though, a couple of these texts maybe not fully understood the assignment, okay? But I will say, Avalon John, he said he's with you, Mike Yell. He's got Kurt Schilling, so Avalon John goes there.
I like that. Point for Avalon John.
I'm skipping the people who didn't follow the assignment, okay? I'm just skipping.
What kind of answers did they give?
Well, like, Jim Williamstown said Roy Halladay. He doesn't understand the assignment.
Well, Roy Halladay would not be an answer that I'm looking for, but you gave up top-level prospects to get Roy Halladay.
But you knew Roy Halladay was a stud.
He was already established in Toronto.
Maybe he's talking about Roy Halladay in Toronto.
Jim and Williamstown follow up with us.
But because Roy Halladay in Toronto kind of came out of nowhere to become Roy Halladay.
Right. But he didn't come to Philadelphia. He was already an established ace.
Correct.
He was Kurt Schilling to, when Kurt Schilling went to Arizona and Boston.
Correct.
Kurt Schilling.
Yes.
Halladay did the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, I want
Jim and Williamstown doesn't get any points for that.
Yeah. Big Alan Violence says, what about Tyrese Maxey?
I thought about him.
Maxey's not a terrible one. He was a first-round pick. You do hope that a first-round pick becomes a starting player or a rotational player. For him to become third-team All-NBA, sure, but not quite on this level.
Mike from the Villas chimed in on the White Horse RV text board at 609-403-0973. Mike from the Villas says, what about Ranger Suarez?
Ranger's a good one. Similar, situation where he was a international free agent, right?
Yes.
And you don't really know what to expect of those guys. But, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't think anybody thought that Ranger was going to become a big game playoff performer that closed out the final game against the Padres to send you to the World Series in 2022 and become this weapon for you that they underutilized, quite frankly. So, but the difference between Ranger, while a good observation, never a Cy Young candidate.
Another text coming in on the text board says, what about Carlos Ruiz? Helped you win a World Series.
Yeah, but again, same situation as Suarez, international free agent. He wasn't an all-star player, although I think he made one all-star game.
Another text.
He was a good, solid player, but not the best, not the leader in the clubhouse to win the Cy Young Award and
right.
top 5 all-time scoreless innings streak. You know what I mean?
Like, a little different.
Yeah.
Jeff from Summers Point says, what about Zach Bond? Did anyone think he would be this good?
That's not a bad one.
Okay.
I mean, Bond was a
Undrafted.
special teams player that you brought here, and he became a first-team all-defensive player. I mean, I would say not quite on the same level as Sanchez, but not a bad name. Better of the names we've gotten so far, that's probably the best one.
Someone else texted in Jordan Mailata, so we got that on the record from
Mailata's
anonymous
very
person.
Good. Mailata's in a different category. Mailata is a sports figure that you would make a movie about.
Right.
That's
Like,
a whole nother category.
Because he wasn't a football player.
He's Vince.
Eagles literally taught him how to play football.
He's like Vince Papale-esque.
You would make a movie about him. That's a whole nother category that we can come up with one day of a sports figure that you would want a movie made about their journey.
Pete, your assignment for later this summer when Mike Gill is off and you and I are hanging out is I need you to come up with some sports figures you want to see turned into movies, okay?
Okay. I'll get right on that.
Thanks.
Jordan Mailata.
Jordan Mailata is but there got to be other people too.
Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin was on Sports Center last night.
Was he?
Yeah, he was doing
the
analysis of the Files SVP.
The Knicks connection. Okay, I got you.
Good pull by them.
Yeah, he was in studio with SVP. I looked up. I was like, is that Jeremy Lin? Yeah, it was.
By the way, I mean, a guy like Jalen Brunson, 2nd round pick. I mean, if he wins a championship for the Knicks, that's pretty.
That's a
pretty
movie,
good, man. That's high praise. It's top 5 Knick of all
Well,
time.
I would say that he's not the best, even the best 2nd round pick to win a championship currently in the league.
Draymond Green, Nikola Jokic.
Okay.
Multiple time MVP.
I think in Knicks lore, though, I think he's the top 5.
If he
top
wins
3.
the NBA championship
And the NBA Finals MVP.
he
probably.
will become an all-time Knick, if not the all-time Knick.
I don't even know if he needs to
agree.
win MVP. I think if he just wins the championship, he's going to be a god.
Put it this way. If they win it, he's going to be the MVP.
Oh, yeah.
True. Yeah. By the way, Jim
Like-
from Williamstown followed back up and says, I'm guilty, guys. Sorry, I was half asleep. Didn't follow the question correctly.
I like the fact that Jim is half asleep, but still was like, I got to turn on the sports bash. Jim, I appreciate you, man. The guy's just waking up, didn't even brush his teeth yet, and said, let me turn on the sports bash.
And let me text
And
in.
then he participated in the question.
That makes
All
it
right.
even better.
What else we got?
Phil from Brigantine did not participate in the question, but he got to hit on what you guys talking about Jalen Brunson. He says, guys, I'm rooting for the Knicks. He
Me
says,
too.
this Nova North thing with Brunson, his play and his leadership is so evident. I can't believe he dropped that far in the draft. Says Phil and Brigantine.
You know what's funny? People forget this, Phil, and everybody else. Jalen Brunson was on the same team as Luka Doncic. They played together.
They did.
And now they're both playing, one in LA, one in New York.
How about
you have one guy go to one coast, the other guy to the other coast, and Dallas is struck right in the middle of those two coasts. And they were both there, and both guys are now playing for other teams. It's wild.
I mean, how do you fumble that?
The Brunson thing, I remember that year the Mavericks, was he on the Mavericks team that went to the finals?
No, I don't believe
I don't
so.
think so. I'm gonna double check. I thought Kyrie was.
He was signed to an offer sheet by the Knicks, right? And they had to do a sign and trade.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
so-
I thought he had like a playoff run where he wasn't like a great, big, impactful player during the regular season, but he started to like do some stuff during the playoffs. And it was like, wow, where's this Brunson coming from? Like, he hadn't done anything all year. And
they lost in the Western Conference Finals. That's what you're thinking of.
Okay. So that playoff run, he started to have like kind of come out of nowhere.
Right. That playoff run when he went to the
Jason
finals.
Kidd was the coach?
Yes. So he averaged 21.5 points a game in the playoff run.
And during the regular season, he did what?
During the regular season, he had 16 points a game. So he averaged 5 more points a game.
It was still decent. I don't remember him being like that level of good. I thought he went from like maybe a 9-point-a-game guy to like a 20-point-a-game guy, but still. And from that run, he signs the offer sheet with the Knicks. And I think in part because his dad, they were going to make him the coach, like an assistant coach there,
Rick
right?
Brunson, the assistant coach,
who was coaching at Camden High.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Which I called the game when he was coaching.
You were coaching. You called the game for Wagner's kid.
Yeah, I called a couple. Like back then, they air a lot of their games on BFA Sports, and I called a couple of the weekend games, like on a Saturday or something, if they had a game. And Brunson's dad was the coach of the team. Yes, DeJuan Wagner was on that team, DeJuan Wagner Jr. And then they had a couple other guys who were still playing in college basketball.
Yep.
I mean, the local connection is all over the Knicks when you think about it.
Well, did you hear them talking on, I think it was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday, it was on Unsportsmanlike, I think. Was it Unsportsmanlike? Canty was talking about how an all-time Knick is a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Like, how will that go over with the Knicks fan base? I don't think and this goes to the whole thing of like, does a professional athlete that plays in the town have to root for the other teams in the town? And it's like, no. When people get all mad because Jalen Hurts has worn
an Astros
Astros hats or something like that, like that's where he's from. He's not one of these honks that live in, Ventnor and cheer for the Cowboys.
Now, if you take it the other way, like Harper, I mean, he's a panderer. He's rooting for the Flyers.
So would you rather that? Would you rather the panderer?
Yeah.
Or would you rather that he sticks out true?
Yes, I would take the authentic.
So the fact that Brunson, who, by the way, has a house in Margate and has been seen at many places down the shore.
Many places, yeah.
That he, in fact, sticks with the Philly teams. You would much rather that than him say, hey, all of a sudden I'm a Mets fan.
Yeah.
I respect it.
609-403-0973.
I mean, it's not the same as A.J. Brown having a Patriots rug in his house when he was an Eagle.
That's a little creepy.
Did you guys talk about that all week, right?
Yesterday we did. That was one of our nuggets, or maybe the day before.
The man cave rug.
Yeah.
So weird. Like,
how do you play for a team and you buy a rug for another team in your league? Yeah.
All because you grew up at them as a fan?
You got to respect the fact that he's stuck with his fandom, though, right?
He made a mockery of it. Right. I mean,
the whole thing has been just a disaster. His exit, the lead up, all of it.
What did it for me was the Edelman podcast where he says we're all Patriots, and he gave a nice little wink. I took that offensively. It was a slap in my face.
Wow.
And I will never forgive him for that.
All right, what else we got?
By the way, Phil, for bringing to you follow up and said, what about Jalen Brunson? Oops, Sixers didn't draft him.
Had a chance to.
They drafted Bridges.
And they traded him.
Yep.
Jim
Brunson was in what draft?
I want to say 2019. Let me pull it up.
Because I think I feel like we went through this like.
Did the Sixers have a second round pick in 2019?
Yeah, I feel like they had a chance to draft him. I do remember that they worked him out.
They did work him out. I thought he might have been in the same draft.
2018.
2018.
He was in the 2018 draft. So the Sixers pick was
that Timothy Luau Caparo?
Landry Shamet. They took Shamet at 26.
Now he's hitting threes in the finals.
Well, he's been all over the place, but yeah, he's played unbelievable. They took Shamet at 26, and Brunson was taken 33rd. And then the Sixers also picked 38th. They also picked 39th, and they also picked, I feel like they had another pick.
56.
56. And they also picked 60th.
They had 20 gazillion second round picks, and none of them turned into anything.
No, but a lot of those guys they traded and like they drafted it and then moved him on the same night. So I don't remember. But the Brunson, he was 33rd. The Sixers had worked him out, and they took Shaman at number 26. That's when they could have taken him.
Oh, yeah, Mitchell Robinson was 36. He was 3 picks later.
We've played this game many times and all the mess ups they've had. And you can keep playing. Have you been playing this 82-0 game?
I've seen it on Twitter. Yeah,
I got a team that was 82-0 last night.
Was Wilt Chamberlain your center?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to hear my team? Here we go. Ready?
Sure.
Have you seen this game, Josh?
I have not, but I'm intrigued.
It's 82-0.com. And you hit the spin button, and it brings you up a roster from everywhere from now till like the 50s, I think. So it might be like, hey, the 0-0 Oklahoma City Thunder, and you have to pick a player off that team, and you make a team with the 5 teams that they make you. So my team was Wilt Chamberlain as the center, LeBron James as the power forward.
Nice.
Kevin Durant as my small forward.
Okay.
Desmond Bain was my shooting guard. And Russell Westbrook was my now this is Russell Westbrook
prime
Washington.
Westbrook.
No, Washington.
Oh, Washington.
Oh, when he averaged the triple.
Kevin Durant was Oklahoma City 2010s version, and LeBron was Cleveland 2010s. Wilt Chamberlain was
Lakers.
1960s Golden State. So you have to pick the era that they give you of the player. So like Michael Jordan I had on my team, but I had Wizards Michael Jordan.
Ooh.
And that team was like 60. I think it had like 65 wins or something like that.
The Sixers version of Paul George.
That I did get I don't think I've had a Sixers. Oh, I did. I picked the Dikembe Mutombo.
Okay.
From
the
nice.
It's one of those addicting games, though. You just keep playing and playing and playing and playing and playing.
Just to see what happens.
I finally got a team that was 82-0.
Nice.
Apparently, people who get Wilt Chamberlain keep getting 82-0.
That's what I've seen. I've seen Wilt all over the place.
I saw somebody ask, has anybody got an 82-0 team without Wilt as the center?
Yeah.
And somebody posted their team that had Kareem.
Okay.
But I had like one team. It was funny. One of my options were like Orlando with Shaq. And then the next team was the Lakers with Shaq.
Oh.
So I could have had Shaq from 2 different eras, but you can only play him at center. Like certain guys, they'll let you play. You can pick. That's the hard part. You can pick what position you want them to play, but when you only have one position open, that's the position you have to fill.
That's the one you're stuck with.
Yeah, you can't move the positions after you've already given them a position.
Like a guy like LeBron, though, you can play.
LeBron can play every position except for one. I think he's qualifies for everything except for center. But if you make him your power forward, and then you like a better power forward on the next team, you can't move him. You're stuck with him as the power forward.
Gotcha.
It's 82-0.com. And I think they're making one for football, too. I think I saw. All right, we're live at Ventnor Social. We got some more text messages we'll read off. 609-403-0973. John McMullen is going to talk a little A.J. Brown with us. What's next for the Birds? How did this all go down? Why did it all go down? By the way, Zach Wheeler has given up 1 hit, so that no-hitter is broken. 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 7 strikeouts. Wheeler is still in the game for the Phillies. We're live at Ventnor Social. Don't forget, stop out here today and all day till 6 o'clock tonight. If you stop out at Ventnor Social, grab a pie to go at Santucci's right next door, or stop in. They're doing Santucci's slices today from 1 to 6. Come in, grab a slice, and get 15% off poker chip towards your next pizza. So if you're a fan of Santucci's, try the pizza out today and then get a chip. Your next pizza will be 15% off today. Go to Ventnor Social, Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor. Check out the Facebook page for all the latest specials and events. Also, they're giving away a ton of we're giving away a trip down to Baltimore to go see the Phillies play. So stop out. You'll see the sign-in box right when you walk in. You can hang out upstairs. They got the video games in the back there, all the arcade games. Bills up 3-0 in the 7th. More Sports Bash coming up on 97.3 ESPN.
The NBA Finals on ESPN Radio.
The New York Knicks strike first.
Brunson driving in traffic. Hits again. Jalen Brunson taking over in the fourth quarter.
Now the pressure quickly mounts for San Antonio. How will they respond?
The guys are going to have the ball more. We're going to have more of the responsibility to step up and set the tone.
Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Coverage begins tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern.
Listen to the NBA Finals. Knicks, Spurs, Game 2. Tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, welcome back, Sports Bash Live. We're live at Ventnor Social, 6417 Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor. Don't forget, swing by. Now, a lot of people down on the beach today enjoying the vibes. When I drove through to get here today, a lot of people beaching it. Beautiful day.
Beautiful week, really. I mean, it's been gorgeous.
Supposed to be a little
all week.
humid tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Pass on that.
Pass on that.
609-403-0973. Stop out to Ventnor Social today. We got a great special for you. You got slices of pizza from Santucci's from 1 to 6, which is right next door. The Santucci's Pizza is right next door. We have them in here. Come in, grab a slice, and get a 15% off poker chip. Good for your next pizza. Goodbye. Good za, by the way. So, what else we got happening? Phil's just gave up a 2-run ding-a-ling.
Yeah, Manny Machado, 2-run shot, 3-2 now.
Right after I said, man, this guy stinks.
Well, he's batting 170.
So I'm not wrong, but I was wrong in that moment.
Yeah.
3-2 Phil's in the 7th. So still some time we might get extras.
Now, I do have the under 8.5 runs, so I kind of need this score to remain the same.
You know who's at the game today?
Schweim. Good for him. Little day baseball. Why not?
Hey, you know, he's got the daughter, get them out of the house together, you know.
Yeah, I talked to Schwein last night for a little while. He was saying he was trying to go to the game today. But 3-2 Phils. We'll talk more Phils later on. Phillies Fastball post-game edition with Jeff and Oscar. We'll look back at what a night by Sanchez. Phillies win again. They're going for the sweep today. They lead 3-2. Same score as they won last night. But when we come back, we haven't talked to John McMullen about A.J. Brown's departure. So now that the dust has settled and we knew he was getting traded, why did this happen? What's next for the Eagles? The Myles Garrett trade. Were the Eagles ever in on Myles Garrett? We'll get into that with John McMullen from Sports Illustrated, Birds 365. He joins me on the other side. Plus, the Nuggets today at 3:30 on the Sports Bash. Football at 4, Andrew DiCecco. We've also got Kevin Durso. Which flyer did Danny Briere say is the priority this offseason? That's tonight at 5:30. All right, 3 o'clock this hour of the show is brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. It's a trusted source for heating, cooling, service, and installation. Call 609-390-3907. Online, broadlees.net. Now, the Eagles made a trade on Monday, if you did not hear, but they made a bigger move today. They re-signed linebacker Chandler Martin. We're going to break that down right now.
First question.
They did sign running back Elijah Mitchell yesterday as well, but obviously the big move was A.J. Brown Monday. John McMullen, Birds 365, Sports Illustrated, joins me now to take a look back. Now that the dust has settled, John, we obviously knew this was coming for quite some time, so it's no surprise that he is traded. But as we take a look back after all this time, 4 years of A.J., and then the months that have led up to his departure, why did it come to this? Why is A.J. Brown a New England Patriot?
It didn't matter to him if it was now or in the future. The Eagles were going to go in a different direction.
So he obviously, didn't want to be here anymore. Is there a particular reason in your mind? Did he just, there's been a lot of reporting, he just could not get along with Jalen Hurts. Their relationship isn't the same. They don't hate each other, but he just didn't want to play with them. I haven't heard much about anybody else other than Hurts. Is it just simply that it had run its course, that relationship?
Yeah, I think from a football perspective, he wants to be in an offense with higher volume quarterback, a guy who can really, put together numbers from that standpoint and be a more consistent passer from week to week. I think it boils down to that. And he doesn't think Jalen Hurts is that style of quarterback. It's probably right. That doesn't mean Jalen Hurts can't be successful, because he has been successful and he's not that style of quarterback. So it's just one of those things where, he spent the majority of his career in run-first offenses. Derrick Henry in Tennessee, and then when Saquon Barkley got here, and even before Saquon, the Eagles were run-first team and very successful Pro Bowl running backs with Miles and DeAndre Swift. And then when Saquon, it obviously heavily tilted towards the run game. But, yeah, I just think he wants to be in a different style of offense.
So when did we think this all kind of began? Did the Eagles, try to hold on to this too long? I asked that question because was it unattainable to try again with A.J. Brown, or was this the only real option?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, last year AJ wanted to move on pretty early last year. And I think from the standpoint of if you go back to the Super Bowl season, I mean, the passing game, I think a lot of people forget because they won the Super Bowl. There were times during that season where the passing game was really bad. I mean, you think about the Carolina game, that was the passing quote. What's wrong with the offense? Passing. His one-word answer. And I think that was washed out by the team's success and everybody forgetting about it. But it was there really dating back to 2023 at times as well. So it's been a long time. The one, and I'm above board. I like AJ personally. I'm an AJ guy, so to speak, but I do think he could have handled things better. No question about that. But from his perspective, he wasn't listened to. And, I think everybody was on the same page trying to fix the passing offense. But, when you have as much team success as the Eagles had in 2024, it's hard to say. And I think from Howie's perspective, he's like, well, we won a Super Bowl when he wasn't happy, so why can't we do it again?
Right. So let me ask this question. So in 2024, they win the Super Bowl. Would he have liked to have been traded post Super Bowl?
Yeah, very early last season.
But
and
like
really,
after they won, like before last season, like in the off season after the Super Bowl.
Not in the off season, but early the Tampa game specifically. Which, I think they actually won that game. They didn't complete a pass in the which half was it? I forget. There were a couple of games last year where they didn't complete a pass in a half. But after that, and it was ironic because they were 4-0 and they were still winning. And that's where Howie kind of said, well, we won, we can persevere through this and win again. And it obviously didn't work out.
Right, because, I guess after they win that Super Bowl, he posted he's really unfulfilled by even winning the Super Bowl. And that was kind of like, wow, that kind of stinks, right? You win the Super Bowl, and it's not something that even fulfills you. So there was all this kind of cloudiness there. But the reason I asked that is because if you win the Super Bowl with A.J. Brown, it's kind of hard that offseason to then trade A.J. Brown by saying, hey, we won the Super Bowl, let's get rid of this guy who was a big part of why we won the Super Bowl. But then you go into the season with him, and the team is struggling. He asked to get out, and Howie's essentially, well, we're undefeated. I can't just trade this guy right now. Or, did they ever think about trading him at that time?
Yeah, they definitely knew about it. It was not a formal request for a trade, but they definitely had a lot of conversations, and, talk was, he had talked about wanting a new start multiple times. And, so Howie was aware.
Mm-hmm.
And if the right deal would have came his way, he probably would have made a move at the trade deadline or something of that nature. But I think he leaned on the fact that, well, we did it once. Why can't we do it again? Not everybody's happy at every time. On every Super Bowl winning team, trust me, there's a player or two who are unhappy, and they managed to persevere and win it. So, the thought process was, I don't buy into the lack of effort narrative that some people are still trying to pass out there because he had a bad game against San Francisco, or he's trying to derail Jalen Hurts. I don't think any of that is true. When he's out there, he's trying to put his best foot forward. But he did. I think the frustration developed into some lack of focus, and all of a sudden you have some uncharacteristic drops. But I mean, it is obviously the 4 seasons he had here were the best 4, stretch of 4 seasons for any wide receiver in franchise history. So, his worst year is better than the vast majority of receivers, best year. So he was still highly productive last year as a whole. So, it's sad that they couldn't have lasted longer because they won so much, gone to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, playoffs every year. But, it's one of those things where not happy, and he would have liked a fresh start.
So the Mannion hire, was that a way to try to entice him to want to stay? To play, hey, look, we're going to overhaul this offense. Think about it.
No, because the Eagles, they did that last year. I think a lot of people don't recognize it because the names were the same, but they tried to shift the offense last year in season. And actually, Jalen Hurts didn't appreciate that. And that really is tied to not being prepared for it. In other words, now you're preparing for it. So Jalen's been more open to it. They're spending the spring installing and practicing this offense, and they'll do the same in the summer. Last year, they were trying to do it on the fly with people who weren't experts in the Shanahan style of offense. So now they've gotten a group of coaches with more experience in that style, but they had shifted to more under center, more play action stuff last year. And that's when the running game got better with Saquon. Not that it was great, but it started out really poorly because people were just selling out based on where he was, offset in the shotgun or pistol, selling out. And you had all those negative plays, and they shifted in season last year. So this is just an extension of that. From AJ's standpoint, they just don't have a high volume thrower. So that doesn't change with the coach.
The relationship between him and Hurts, was it noticeable as you were in that building that those two guys just did not get along? Did they just not get along at all, or did they just grow apart?
No, I think, I've been talking about that on my show for the last 2 years. They're not as close as they once were, and they were once very close.
That's normal, though. That happens, right?
Yeah, that happens.
People grow apart.
Yep.
You have different lives,
Exactly.
and that happens. But,
Exactly.
was this just that case, or was this more than that?
No, in fact, I think, and you do it every day as well, Mike. And when, they were on the field having success, you saw they were still celebrating together. They're still, trying to push each other. They still went off script together. And when they would celebrate, and you would hear the same fans pushing the conspiracy theories now say, oh, you guys are lying. They're great. They're great. So you can't have it both ways, but to your point, it's a workplace. You don't have to be best friends to perform. Trust me, there's 90 guys on the roster this time of year. They don't all get along. But as long as you're professional in the workplace, that's
well, and we know, John, in sports and in the moment, like you almost forget what your relationship is and who that is that even is. You throw a touchdown pass and you celebrate. It's not, oh, I threw a touchdown pass to that guy, right? I mean, it's just like for those 2 hours, you're like in blackout mode. You're like having an outer body experience.
Yeah, exactly. So they were both. They had so much success. I think even last year, people forget they won 11 games. And I still argue today, if the offensive line stayed healthy, they're at least at 12 or 13.
Yeah,
they had a lot of success last season.
There's no question that the aesthetics of the team last year certainly made it seem as if the team struggled more record-wise.
Yeah. And but it is, AJ had no problem with Nick Sirianni and no problem with Kevin Petullo. In fact, he's very close to Kevin Petullo.
Right. Well, that was one of the things I think Mike Garafolo reported yesterday was he didn't have a problem with Sirianni. He didn't have a problem with the front office. He didn't have a problem with the offensive coordinator. He essentially had a problem with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm. But, I don't think the off-the-field stuff is fair. But it depends which rumor you're talking about because I've seen 3 or 4 different ones. But, I think it's the vast majority of it is football related. The vast majority is probably unfair to Jalen Hurts because, he just wants a different style of quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be what you aren't, and you can't, they've had, and why would you ask Jalen Hurts to change his style of play? That's part of my problem with the shift this year.
Well, this is going to end up being like a Jimmy Butler with Ben Simmons, and you chose Tobias Harris over me. Did they choose Jalen Hurts over AJ Brown?
No, I think AJ forced their hands. So there's really a decision. They're not moving on from the quarterback.
Well, many believe that this is a big season for the quarterback.
Well, yeah, this is a big season for the quarterback, but his contract this year demands that you stick with the quarterback. Now, next year he's down to $22 million in guarantees, so they're going to have to make a decision. He's not going to play for $22 million in guarantees, so they're going to have to redo his contract or decide, hey, maybe we have to start going in another direction because if they have another bad passing season, well, that's 3 consecutive years, and you have to start thinking about if it really is a strong quarterback draft, as people are saying, and the Eagles like a quarterback. That's part of the reason why Howie wanted that extra first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you want to trade it. Think of it this way, Mike. If they have a bad season, and for them, the defense is so good, probably talking about mediocre 9-8 or something like that. Worst case scenario. You might have the 15, 16 pick in the draft. Well, if you have 4 or 5 quarterbacks who are going in the top 10, you really like one, maybe you can spend 15 and a future first-round pick and get up to 10 and get a quarterback.
So when you look at the compensation, did you think they didn't get enough? Were you surprised or just about what you thought?
Just about. In fact, yeah, I did. I predicted the 2028 first rounder a month ago. So just about what and by the way, I think a lot of people don't understand. Look, they have the 31st pick this year. I mean, the odds are the 2028 pick is going to be better than 31. Now, would you prefer 2027? Sure. A little bit quicker, but if you look down the road and Elliott Wolf had said and has now gone public, yeah, he's got a bad knee. He's got a degenerative knee condition. So if you think about AJ at 31, probably declining in New England, and by that point he's probably unhappy there because that's his history. When it is time for that first round pick, if they do keep it and if they don't trade it, it's probably going to look even better. The Patriots might be picking 17th, 18th. You're sort of playing the odds. They're probably not going to be as good. They might win the Super Bowl, and it might be worse. But if you're an odds man, you're playing the odds.
Right. Well, and listen, it stinks to have to wait the 2 years, but when the 2 years finally surpasses and you still have that, now you feel like, wow, because Chances are they don't
Exactly.
win a Super Bowl with him. Now, who knows what happens to you in the 2 years? But that being said, when you have that extra pick, it will feel great 2 years from now. The fact that you have to wait the 2 years in sports world is a long time, going through 2 full seasons before that pick actually happens. John McMullen.
That's the luxury Howie has because he knows he's going to be here too. So he knows, like other GMs don't know if they're going to be in their certain spots. So it's not as.
Which is why he can do a lot of the things that he does and others can't. John from Birds 365, of course, Sports Illustrated. You can read more about the stuff. Were the Eagles, in your mind, or from what you understand, in on Myles Garrett?
That happened really, really quickly. And, in fact, it was Mary Kay Cabot who first broke that, Myles is – people are talking about trading for him, and she mentioned the Rams, the Eagles, and the Cowboys as the 3 teams. And 15 minutes later, he was on the Rams. That's how quick it happened. So the Rams have been trying to trade for him for months, or convince Cleveland to trade him. So they were ahead of the game. But from what I was told, look, the Eagles have always wanted Myles Garrett. They've always wanted him. It would have been difficult to match the Jared Verse part of the trade because that's the player the Browns really wanted. And you don't have an edge rusher. If you think about Nolan Smith or J. Alex Hunt, they both have tremendous upside. They're not Jared Verse. So they couldn't match that. And for the people that say, well, Jalen Carter, they don't want Jalen Carter for 2 reasons. One, they wanted an edge rusher. And 2, you're going to have to pay Jalen Carter an enormous amount of money, and you don't have that little window you have with Jared Verse where you got a free year basically because even though he's outperformed his rookie contract, you can't even start talking about an extension until after year 3.
Yeah.
So they get a free year with Jared Verse at that cost-effective rate. They don't want to trade for Jalen Carter and pay him $35 million.
Right.
So I don't know how the Eagles could have put together a package, even if they match the draft pick compensation, which they would have, they couldn't match the Jared Verse part of the trade.
All right. Well, there you go. Anything stand out? Any observation from OTAs?
Yeah, Andy Dalton's been the backup quarterback, which I think surprised us all.
Ahead of Tanner McKee.
Yeah. Now, we've only been in there twice. The Eagles insist that they've been rotating days. But each day, it didn't match up because at 3 practices Memorial Day week, and it was McKee theory, and we were in there for practice number 2, and it was Dalton. And then it would have been McKee on practice 3. So this week, it would have been Dalton on day 1, which we weren't in there. And it would have been McKee on day 2, but it was Dalton on day 2. So that's a clear indication that the Eagles are playing a little bit fast and loose about what's going on. And I will say he was really effective, too. When we were in there earlier this week, he looked very good. And he just, he looked like a guy who's played 17 seasons, just processing quickly. Ball comes out on time, and Tanner didn't look as good. Now he's in the final year of his rookie deal, so the best case scenario is to get something for him. But I got to be honest with you, Mike. If you want to get something for him on the trade market, you should have had him practicing on the days the media were there.
Well, we'll see what happens there. Obviously, the Eagles' OTA today was their last day, and then the mandatories next week. A lot of people wanting to know, John, are you at a bird sanctuary? Are you like, what's with the birds?
I am outside, but there are a lot of birds chirping.
Yes.
And it's nice to be outside.
I know.
Birds
I was
chirping.
amazed at all the people commenting on the birds, and I could hear them a little bit, but like the fact that people were so fixated, I was like, he's outside on the phone, probably just got his feet up, having a football conversations. Like you have to be like
Exactly.
totally inside your house to have a good football conversation, right?
It's a nice day. It hasn't been a great year weather-wise. So forgive me for going outside.
I'm okay with that. We got people on the YouTube. Johnny Mac talking birds 365 at a whole new level. Literally 365 birds chirping outside of his house. A couple other people. Is he at a bird sanctuary on the text board? 609-403-0973.
Yeah, the funny thing, I didn't even notice it. So
I can hear it a little bit.
Now I'm enjoying the birds.
Please ask him about the chirping birds this interview. Ha ha ha. On the text board. All right, everybody. Yes, we came to the conclusion that John is outside his house having this conversation. I thought maybe you were still at the what is it called now? That's not NovaCare. What is it called?
Jefferson Health Training Complex.
Doesn't have the same ring. No good. It's like
no, it does not.
It's like Heinz Field changing to whatever they are now. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, AccuSure.
No,
but everybody calls it Heinz Field.
Yeah.
Nothing against AccuSure, but they have the worst luck because they spent all that money to get the branding, and everybody calls it Heinz Field anyway.
Yes, exactly. When you're the next one after the iconic name, it doesn't work for you. That's a waste of money. All right, Johnny Mac outside with the birds on the Sports Bash. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks, Mike.
At JF McMullen, Birds 365. Make sure you check him out each and every morning at 8 a.m. on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. When we come back, it's today's edition of The Nuggets.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. Him. But he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Seventh. They got a 4-run lead. It's the first time they scored 5 or more runs since May the 12th. By the way, that Christopher Sanchez scoreless inning streak started Game 6 when the Sixers played the Celtics.
Oh, and it was Mattingly's second game, I believe.
And ended last night.
Yep.
50.2, 50 and 2/3, I should say. Live at Ventnor Social. Stop on out until 6 tonight. We're hanging out. And, of course, we got the Phillies game on in here. 6-2 Phillies here in the 8th. We got the Phillies Fastball postgame show in less than an hour. Right now it's time for Nick's Nuggets on the Sports Bash. And let me tell you, Nuggets, celebrate the World Cup with Soccer Fest at the Camden Waterfront, June 25th through the 27th, from noon to 10 every single day. Watch across all 3 days on huge outdoor screens. Sign up for the New Jersey Youth Soccer Association sessions held at Rutgers Camden Field. Shop local at the Made in Camden Village. Check out International Food Market, South Jersey's award-winning wineries and breweries. They'll have live music. Be sure to take the Paco to City Hall Station or take the New Jersey Transit River Line. Register for free tickets in advance at soccerfest26.com. The World Cup is coming to Philly. What's up, Nuggets?
What's going on, Mr. Mike Gill? PG, good to see you. I see you're at Ventnor Social. It's always a good time over there. I love the backdrop with the baseball cards. By the way, that's up my neck of the woods in Camden with the FIFA watch parties, all that good stuff. That'll be coming around. I'm seeing all the FIFA kind of imaging around this area. So that seems pretty cool, to say the least.
Yeah, by the way, today, I know you've been here in the past. Today, they laid out, 2 pizzas from Santucci's and like a bunch of little cheesesteaks. So people who come down today, you get a little slice of pizza. You get a 15% poker chip for your next Santucci's pizza here at Ventnor Social today.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I love the pizza. The pizza from Tucci's is pretty dang good. I will not lie. It is very good. And Ventnor Social, the cheesesteaks. Oh, man, that sounds awesome. You guys are having a good time. And I'll get to some food in a little bit. I got a food nugget for you in just a couple minutes. But nugget number 1, it is a Phillies watch party where you guys are at. And the Phillies, they are winning. They finally scored like over 5 runs for once. It's nice to see the offense finally come alive. And, we're talking about the offense, how it struggled. Harper's been good. Schwarber's been good. Marsh has been good as well. But overall, we know there are problems with the lineup, and everybody wants the Phillies to make a move. I just don't believe that move is out there at all, okay? I don't think it's out there, and I don't think most people believe it is either. And Jeff Passan, one of the most well-known insiders in Major League Baseball for ESPN, he had a nice trade deadline preview earlier today, and the 2 names that he suggested for the fighting Phils, Tarek Skubal in parentheses or Taylor Ward. Now, people have a problem with the Skubal conversation. Mike, you and I have talked about this a couple of times. I am all in if they go out and get Tarek Skubal. I would love for them to go get a Skubal to add to this rotation because that impact bat simply isn't out there. And if you're going specifically right-handed, that specifically is not out there. That is a problem across Major League Baseball. Taylor Ward is not a game-changing type of player to your offense. So you know what? You get richer with your pitching, okay? You go all in on the pitching, and you just have the best 1, 2, 3 punch in the postseason when you go to the DS and the CS. What did you make of Passan's article, him suggesting the Phillies' number 1 option for Skubal?
Well, 2 things. Either one, he was listening to my show on Friday and heard me talk about Skubal, how I would make that trade instantaneously if I could make the deal. If they're offering Skubal and I can make a deal work, I make that deal. I go Christopher Sanchez in game 1, I go Wheeler in game 2, and I go Skubal in game 3. So even if I lose one of those first 3 games, right? And even if the series is tied 2-2, I turn it back over to Christopher Sanchez, and now I have the advantage again. So those three guys, to me, covers up some of the warts of my offense, which is obvious. Taylor Ward is not fixing those warts, and neither is any other random right-handed bat that you're going to present to me. So I can't get the top-level right-handed bat, and I don't see that deal out there. I go Tarek Skubal. I got no problem with that.
And you're also willing and prepared to give him $500 million?
I make that trade knowing that I have to re-sign him.
And move contracts around in order to do so, right?
Well, we don't even know if there's going to be a season next year, so you might not be paying anybody. So that's number one. Number two, I'm getting rid of the Castellanos contract. That's opening up $20 million a year. I would imagine the end of Alec Boehm is going to be, and that's $10 million. So now I got $30 million. Garcia's gone. Now I got $40 million. And there's other contracts that are slowly going to be lopped off the books. I just gave you $40 million worth of contracts that you're going to have free open next year. So I make that deal for Skubal and at the top of my rotation. And keep in mind, Zach Wheeler has kind of hinted that he will retire at the end of his deal, which is after next season. And then it's a Christopher Sanchez, Luzardo, Skubal, Painter quad, and I'll take that as well. But for 2 years, I'll do what I did in 2010. I will go with the four aces look. I'll go with Halladay, Lee, Hamels, Roy Oswalt. I'll just recreate it with this group of guys.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Dave Dombrowski think they were? He knows they have a good club. They've talked about this is the team, right? This is the team they think can make a run. They have just fallen flat in the postseason, and the bats have just gone cold. It's Groundhog Day every year. So why not just beat him with
Dombrowski? Here's the thing with Dombrowski. He's not wrong. They got a good club. I don't want a good club. I want a great club. They got a good club. He's not a liar. They got a good club. But he should be coming out and saying, we have a great club. But he doesn't say great club. He just says good club.
I know. He's said it for years now. So why not go get a Skubal? I don't know how you could be against this. To have some of the best pitchers in baseball all in one rotation, Wheeler, Skubal, Sanchez, I mean, that's unstoppable right there. I mean, if you're the Dodgers, that's what you should be afraid of. Not last year's team. That rotation is something the Dodgers would be afraid of, and that the Phillies could compete with.
I mapped it out. Game 1, Christopher Sanchez. You win that game. Game 2, Zach Wheeler. Let's just say for whatever reason, you lost that game. Game 3, I'd much rather turn things over to Skubal than Luzardo. So now I got Skubal pitching game 3. I win that game. It's 2-1. Even if Luzardo doesn't pitch well and the series is 2-2, I go back to Christopher Sanchez for game 5. I feel a heck of a lot better in that situation than potentially if I lose game 2 and now game 3, I'm going to Jesus Luzardo, who I don't ever know what I'm getting from him.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about Aaron Nola either. You don't have to worry about him. That's a contract.
Well, that's going to be a big thing. That's going to be a big thing when you get to the playoffs this year.
Yep.
When you get to the playoffs this year, is Aaron Nola going to be that fourth guy who makes those random starts, or is it going to be Andrew Painter? And so far, Painter hasn't taken that job and grabbed it as the fourth guy.
No, he is not. And I just think that you don't want to go with Nola. He's who knows what you're going to get from him. He's pitched well as of late. He's pitched better. I'm not going to say he hasn't. But, man, I'd feel a whole heck of a lot better about making a run with those three at the top of my rotation. And then if I need to go to a game 4, I go to Luzardo in a 7-game series. I feel fantastic if that is my 1, 2, 3, and then possibly 4th punch.
I would agree. Tyler Ward, the other name he brought up, doesn't do much for me there as a right-handed.
They bring him up every year. They bring him up every single year. He's another name they bring up every year. Why not just go trade for him? What impact is he going to make? I would make your Bader deal before Ward.
Yeah, he's a right-handed bat that would be platooning with somebody, whether it be in left field with Marsh and move Marsh to center when Crawford goes on there. All that stuff, he doesn't do much for me. I know one of our listeners who gives me 900 trade ideas. None of them are feasible. Tyler Ward is generally a part of those trade ideas that I don't see really doing much for this team.
Yeah, he's not going to make a great impact in my estimation at all. And there's not if they're going to go get a right-handed bat, you got to go for a superstar, a guy that no one's even talking about to be traded. That would be the only move if you're going to elevate your lineup. Seriously, that would be it for my estimation. I don't even think you would go out and get somebody like that at this point because teams don't want to trade anyway because of that third wild card.
Well, right now it's June 4th, so it's pretty early, for other teams to say that they're out of it. If you're the Phillies, though, you almost need now. I will say Garcia has started to hit the ball. He hit the home run today. He had a base hit last night. That he hit the ball on the screws pretty hard. So with that, I mean, I know it's so early to just say this guy stinks. You got to move on from him. It's June. Maybe he gets himself back to 235 and shows a little power. But so far, he's been a total disappointment.
And the Phillies are still 9.5 back. For as well as they've been playing, they haven't made up any ground.
Saw that today. They have the most wins in baseball since Don Mattingly took over, and they haven't made up any ground. I mean, they're literally exactly where they were when Rob Thompson was fired, 9.5 games back. So
that's why these games against San Diego for the wild card, Pittsburgh.
I do think, let me check on that. Not that anybody cares about the wild card standings, but before
they will.
When Rob Thompson was fired, you were 7 games out of the wild card. You have cut into that where actually, if you win today, you will be the top wild card team.
Yep. So, especially if you are in one of those wild card spots and the division's out of reach, who do you want to win those first 2 games? Sanchez, Skubal, Sanchez, Wheeler, Skubal, Wheeler. I mean, you could mix and match whoever you want to in a 3-game set against any opponent in the wild card.
And think about this. Let's say you go to the wild card. Let's say you go to the wild card and you have to pitch Sanchez and Wheeler in those wild card games. Now you're opening up the division series.
Yep.
You would much rather have Skubal start game 1 than have to start with Luzardo in game 1.
Yep. I think for the Phillies, them and their postseason hopes, if they want to try and win a World Series, if they're just kind of waiting around, I don't know what the point would be. I would go get a pitcher and just load up on pitching, trade whoever you have to. I don't even care at this point. Get rid of prospects, guys who are in their first year. I don't care.
Problem with that is, we talked a lot about this yesterday. Aiden Miller, not a tradable commodity right now with that back situation. So now you're down to maybe Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter as the top chips for Skubal. And now you're going to the next level down. Gage Wood, Arun Escobar, and I don't know that those guys push the pile enough for Skubal.
Could you look at that as a positive, though, for the Phillies? Because then you get to hang on to Miller, even though very big concern with the back, you still get to hang on to one of your guys, one of those top guys, and Crawford and Miller and Painter.
3 things we talked about yesterday. 1, this is a lost year for him. Total waste of a season. He can't help your team out now. You can't trade him if you wanted to make a high level trade. And 2 or 3, he has a complete. By the way, Alvarado just gave up a 2-run homer.
There goes my under 8.5 runs as well.
PG.
Jackson Burrow, who was a problem last night. But you've also now lost a complete year of development for him. He's had no at-bats, no baseball activity. So who knows if a complete loss of a season deters his development as a player.
Yeah, and that was the concern with Painter with me. I was very critical of them bringing him up right away and just assuming he'd be this great pitcher all of a sudden. I was like, he didn't pitch well in AAA last year. And then, all of a sudden he's going to pitch great in the major leagues. I know he has the stuff, and we've seen moments, but there's still growing pains there. Same thing with Miller, I think would be the case with him because this could be a lost season for him.
But I look at pitchers different. Pitchers different than hitters. Pitchers are a little different. He did pitch a full year last year, and that's where you worked out your kinks. Miller now hasn't taken a bat off live pitching in a full year now, and then who knows when he comes back, and now he's going to have to reacclimate himself against live pitching. I think this has been a complete waste of a season for him.
Guess what, Mike? I don't care. Go get Skubal. We'll do whatever you need to do. All right? Go get Skubal. and give yourself a shot in the postseason. That's what you do. All right, go make the trade. Make the trade. All right. Before I get out of here, because I know I'm running short on time. Second nugget, because FIFA World Cup's coming around, the Derby and All-Star. Voting is now open. You can vote for All-Stars, etc. And obviously, it's in Philadelphia this year, Mike. And there's some clear, obvious names that should be competing in the home run derby. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. Should both of them, not just one of them, should both those two be competing in the home run derby because it's at the bank? Yes or no? PG, Mike Gill.
Well, Schwarber's already said, Harper's already said if he's not elected to the game, he will not do the home run derby. Now, he didn't commit to the home run derby if he's elected. He did not commit to it, but he said he would not do it if he was not elected to the game. Should he be in it? Sure. I mean, obviously that would add to having two guys from the home team in there.
Yep, both of them. So you would say yes, they both should be in it.
Yeah, no, I gave the over-under 3.5 Phillies All-Stars. Over-under. That was the number yesterday we set.
Under.
Sanchez, Schwarber. Duran, he's making a case, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
That's 3.
I got over.
Yeah.
I got 4.
Who's your 4? Marsh? You're going to throw Marsh in
Duran,
there?
Wheeler, Sanchez, Harper, Schwarber, and Marsh are the 6 under consideration.
Everyday Marsh.
PG, are you going both of them in the Derby?
No.
Wow.
I worry about the second half of the season.
There it is.
Those guys take a lot out of their swing. I believe in that. No,
I was waiting for that answer. See, I knew that this is one of the reasons I picked this nugget for today, because I knew PG would be concerned about the swing, the launch angle is going to mess up his swing the rest of the year. He probably doesn't even want one of them in there. You don't even want any of them in there, do you?
Well, you couldn't go with the Spurs-Knicks game because, you'd have to talk about your Knicks winning game 1.
Well, we ran out of time.
Derby's on Netflix. The Derby's on Netflix this year, right?
Yes, it is on Netflix this year.
You're going to watch on Netflix.
I will.
I know who won't be watching.
Raw.
All right, there you go. There's the Nuggets today.
No Knicks Nuggets, right? No New York Knicks Nuggets.
No, not today. Not today. We're not talking about that today. All right, guys. See ya.
All right, see you. All right, there's the Knicks Nuggets today on the Sports Bash. By the way, Phil's 6-4, 2 outs in the ninth. They're trying to close this one out with Jose Alvarado. Now, I would imagine that Johan Duran is not available for the game today. He's pitched 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to close this out with Alvarado, who just gave up a two-run bomb. It's 6-4 with 2 outs, nobody on in the bottom of the ninth. We're live at Ventnor Social. Stop on out and see us here. We're here till 6. You stop by. There's some pizza out here. Grab a little slice of pizza. You get a 15%. Now, do you have the 15% chips? No. Okay. Well, somebody's got the 15% poker chips. If you get a little slice of pizza, they're free. The pizza's free. Free slices till 6. They'll give you a 15% poker chip for your next full pie at Santucci's right next door to us here. We're here till 6 o'clock tonight. And you stop out. You got the sign up for the road trip to Baltimore to see the Phillies play the Orioles at Camden Yards. You got today and July 29th. 2 more chances to enter. Sign up right there in the box. Stop in. I know people at the beach have been coming off the beach getting ready for dinner time.
The Philadelphia Eagles. Sixers.
Oh!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. And it is brought to you by the Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, the go-to destination. Huge screens, great drinks, and all the sportsbook action you want. It's the perfect place to catch every play and celebrate every win, including tonight's Stanley Cup Finals, game number 2. You can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. Andrew DiCecco is here. His observations, OTAs all week long, and, of course, the trade of A.J. Brown. And we'll start there, obviously, Andrew, as A.J. Brown is traded. I would imagine sparked no surprise on the practice field at the former NovaCare Center. Everybody just seemingly happy that this thing is behind them.
Yeah, it was business as usual, Mike, and not really a surprise. This is something that felt inevitable, especially, me coming back from the combine. You get a strong sense of that was the direction that things were trending. And, it was a big build-up, but you get to the OTAs and the Tuesday practice, and the sense of relief was expressed by Jordan Mailata. But I also feel it's worth noting that Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell were just among the players that noted that they're going to miss AJ and the value that he provided, pushing them to reach their full potential, challenging them in practice. He was calling Cooper DeJean All-Pro Coop before it ever happened, so it kind of all manifested there. So you could tell that there were some teammates there that certainly are going to miss him.
Yeah, I had Cooper on at the Super Bowl and Reed Blankenship and Dean. All three of them, Andrew, when I mentioned A.J. Brown, it wasn't just a fake, oh, that's our guy. Like, you could tell the smiles on their face and how much they love A.J. And I would imagine, this wasn't like people thought that A.J. was a bad guy, or that it wasn't like they hated this guy or that was the problem. It just seemed to have run its course. Now, I don't know what the offensive players thought. I haven't heard a whole – I know Saquon, but you said Mailata was like, thank God this is over. But there was certainly a connection with AJ through at least the defensive players on that team.
Yeah, I would say offensive as well. Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, the receiver group, and there's other players that I'm probably forgetting right now. But you could just tell from being around the team on a day in, day out basis how beloved he was in that building. Now, when you have 70 players on a roster, it's not realistic that everyone is going to be, harmonious, that everything's going to be harmonious and all that. But I would say by and large, from what I've observed, yeah, he was very well liked and a popular player and someone who was valued inside that building as a whole.
Well, let's look at the replacements. Mekhi Lemon not on the field with a hamstring situation. But what you observed first time out there seeing the replacements, just initial overview on how that position, the overhaul of that position will be different this year.
So it's going to be more of a collective approach this year, and that really shouldn't be a surprise. This is going to be a true West Coast offense. So they're going to facilitate the ball to a number of different players. Devontae Smith's going to command most of the targets in terms of the wide receivers, but Dallas Goedert's going to get his. Dontavian Wicks is a player that the Eagles are intrigued by. They want to get a long look at him, and he stands to benefit from the absence of an A.J. Brown. And as the big body receiver option that they have at 6'1", 206 pounds. But you kind of see life without AJ when you don't have Mekhi Lemon on the field. He had the hamstring, as you outlined. Darius Cooper didn't participate in team drills on that particular day. He was there for individuals and then watching from the sideline. And then they're mixing in Elijah Moore and Hollywood Brown a little earlier than you would ideally like to see, but that's what they're working with right now. But I do think it's worth mentioning that Howie Roseman made a concerted effort this offseason to brace the team for life without A.J. Brown, adding, I think, 5 different receivers over the course of the offseason. It's kind of like a basketball team. There's your big-bodied guy in Dontavian Wicks. You have your fast guy in Hollywood Brown. Elijah Moore is a good route runner who can work the short to intermediate levels. So you kind of go down the list there. McMullen is going to be a high-volume slot option when he gets an opportunity, when he's back there on the field, and I think he's going to be an early impact player as long as he takes to the offense well. It's not always going to be, one of those accelerated rookie development. Sometimes players take a little bit more of a gradual approach to things, but I like what the Eagles have done to piece it together. But make no mistake about it, Mike, when you lose A.J. Brown, you're not a better football team. I do believe that A.J. has some elite years ahead of him in terms of production, and the Eagles are going to move on, and they could offset it if the offense functions as, properly executed with the abundance of players that they have to get a lot of pieces involved.
One guy I want to look at more in the crosshairs now is Devontae Smith. What more or different will they do with him this season now that AJ's not here? Because I kind of went through a lot of the Mannion style of offenses, and you look at the Rams. Puka Nacua just gets all the targets there. The next guy, Devontae Adams, you got Nacua like 1,500 yards. Adams like 700. You go down to San Francisco when they were humming, Ayuk has 1,300 yards. The next guy, there's a drop-off to Kittle and then Deebo Samuel. You look at a lot of these teams, Seattle last year, Jackson Smith and Jigba had by far all the targets and yards. The next guy was a tight end. So is that how you see this happening here with Devontae Smith, where he's now the guy that gets everything and everybody else kind of is just the other guys?
Yeah, everybody else kind of chips in. It's going to run through Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. But I think if the offense is functioning as intended, you're not going to see the Eagles force feed Devontae the ball. You're going to go to the open guy. That's where the quick decision-making, processing, timing is going to become so paramount in this true West Coast system. And, yeah, I don't necessarily know that you're going to be solely predicated on just one or two options. They're going to spread the ball around, including to Dontavian Wicks and Mekhi Lemon as well. So it's going to be more of a collective approach in the post-A.J. Brown era, at least in my estimation.
All right, you look at the offense as a whole now. You mentioned Jordan Mailata, that offensive line. I know you can't tell at these OTAs here, but how much, the offense before was really predicated on how good that offensive line is. We know throughout football, though, a lot of teams have struggles on the offensive line, and they kind of work their way around it. How imperative is that offensive line in Sean Mannion's offense?
Yeah, it's near the top of the list in terms of importance, Mike. Your quarterback leads the way, but for this offense to really reach its fullest potential, they need a healthy offensive line, because the way that I see it, everyone's talking about the passing game, and they're making a lot of that, and it does need to improve because it hasn't been good enough for 2 years. But I think the running game stands to see the most drastic evolution in terms of the wide zone concepts where you're stretching teams horizontally. And in order to do that effectively, you have to have a healthy offensive line. Last season, they were a year removed from a historic performance where Saquon Barkley ran for over 2,000 yards. And while maybe it's not realistic to expect a total return to form, because there is a lot of wear and tear on these players based off of the style in which they play, I do think that you're going to see them. I'm curious to see if they take a more cautious approach in training camp, and you're seeing maybe some more maintenance days or things like that to ensure that you're optimizing their health, because without them, you saw what the offense looks like. They were behind the sticks. They became predictable, and they weren't able to pave the lane like they normally have. So for this offense to really work, because I expect everything that they do to be predicated off the run game, or a lot of what they do to be predicated off that, you need that offensive line to really be humming.
Andrew, first impressions of Eli Stowers, a guy who I think gets lost in the sauce sometimes when we're talking about new weapons in this offense.
Yeah, he does. So in the first practice that was open to us, he didn't really factor all that much into the offensive plans. But on Tuesday, he did, and he caught a pass over the middle from Cole Payton. He caught another one. I want to say it was maybe from Andy Dalton, but you're not looking at that. You're looking at the movement, how they're utilizing him, where are they lining him up. He aligned inside. The previous practice that we saw, he was outside. So he's a unique player in the sense that he's kind of built like a plus-size wide receiver. He has tremendous athleticism, and while I don't expect him to take on the bulk of the snaps or maybe even a sizable role because he's not yet ready to be an inline blocker, nor do I believe that that's what he's equipped to do. But because there's some deficiencies there and he's a work in progress, that might limit the usage in year one. But he is the player, and I think I mentioned this to you, Mike, that I'm most intrigued by in terms of their draft class. Uar Bernard, a close second. But for Stowers, he's the modern NFL tight end, and that you can move him around formations. He's explosive and dynamic. He can work the seams. He can take a short pass and take it a great distance. And I think he's going to be a really good fit for what the Eagles are looking to accomplish offensively.
All right, last thing on the offense with Andrew. Andy Dalton running the second unit. Is there anything to read into that with Tanner McKee going third team?
No, not yet. We're still in the early phases here, and my understanding is that they've been rotating. But I will say that Andy Dalton looked markedly improved compared to what we saw from him in the first practice that was open to us. And you can see just the veteran prowess that he has. He's making these quick decisions. He's fitting the ball into tight windows. He just seems to be looking increasingly more comfortable within the offense. And that's not really a surprise. He has a background in some of this. He's been in different offenses in the past. And I think that there's a lot to learn if you're Jalen, if you're Tanner McKee, if you're Cole Payton, just from being around someone like Andy Dalton, who can be a tremendous resource and helping them on board into this. You're getting a different perspective from Andy Dalton, who's kind of an extension of the coaching staff. But he really stood out to me with just the zip that he threw on his passes. He was fitting the ball into those tight windows. I can think of a throw along the sideline where Jonathan Jones was tightly defending Hollywood Brown. Andy Dalton got there. The throw was better. There was one between Mac McWilliams and Andre Sam that he sort of did between the two players. And I think that was also Hollywood Brown's. Or no, that was Elijah Moore. So I say all that to say that Andy Dalton seems to be coming along nicely in this offense, and that really shouldn't be a surprise for a 38-year-old quarterback who's been exposed to different systems.
Andrew DiCecco, football at 4. Let's look on defense real quick and a couple key things over there. Takeaways from you. Cooper DeJean, how different will he be used this year in the defense?
Yeah, quite a bit. It's interesting because Jeff and Adam pointed this out. The first handful of games, you're seeing teams that utilize, heavy tight end usage. And so while the Eagles don't typically live in base defense, just 8, 12, 15 snaps a game, you might see Cooper DeJean play a little bit more safety than he has in the past.
Okay.
And I think Cooper is equipped to thrive no matter where you put him, namely nickel and safety. So I think you're going to see sort of a hybrid usage. And the Eagles obviously live in nickel more than, that's their bread and butter. That's their primary formation there. So that's what he's really going to be doing. But he talked about over the offseason watching Charles Woodson, and I kind of see a little bit of Charles Woodson in his game. Woodson he can move around formations and things like that. Very versatile player, good ball hawk, smart and instinctive. So Cooper DeJean is a really shrewd football player and one of the very best on the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think you're going to see a blend of those two positions.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much more playmaking ability he's able to flash out there. What'd you think of Rick Wollen and seeing just his size at that position compared to, Andrew, what you've seen over the years at that spot?
He was my defensive standout for the practice that we were there this week. And you can't help but become enamored with the length and the athleticism. He's just a tough guy to get around. And I can highlight two plays off the top of my head. There was one where Jalen's uncorking a deep shot to Hollywood Brown down the right sideline. Rick Wollen's running with him step for step, and the pass fell incomplete. He matched him stride for stride. There was another play in the end zone where he undercut the route and was able to break up the pass. So just the tantalizing athleticism that he has. It's something that, it's a sight to behold. But the true test will be in training camp, of course, when the pads come on, competition ramps up quite a bit, and you want to see, is he able to remain disciplined within the structure of the defense? Will he be assignment sound? And if he's able to do so, I think the Eagles could have hit a home run with that free agent signing, because with that kind of size, that unique dimension that he provides, he's going to see a lot of passes thrown his way with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, on the other side. So he's someone that I expect to make some plays on the football, collect a lot of pass breakups. But it just comes down to consistency with him. That's something that when you look at the rookie season that he had in Seattle, it was a Pro Bowl season. He was, I believe, tied for the NFL lead in interceptions. Then there was a bit of a drop-off, and that can be tied to the inconsistencies. That's why a player like that was available. Even Fangio, though, was surprised that he didn't command a more sizable market. So there's a lot of interest there, and I think he could prove to be a really good fit in this defense.
All right, there's some observations from Eagle practice today. I'll ask you, Myles Garrett. They ended up not getting that, monster of a player, but he goes to the Rams. How much does that shift the NFC balance of power?
Oh, I'd say quite a bit. I think the Rams are the class of the NFC. Anytime you add the best defensive player in football and add that to what you already have, that they're, a really explosive offense with a sort of an offensive guru and Sean McVay. You have Matthew Stafford, who I think is still among the NFL's best quarterbacks. You couple that with adding someone like Myles Garrett to a defense that has a lot of youth and athleticism. That's a really, really strong combination there. So the Eagles are up there, but I think the Rams have kind of put themselves, in a class above.
Yeah, I know Garrett going for really a good player too. I mean, Jared Verse is a really good player. So that is a deal that I don't know that Philadelphia would have been able to match. There was some murmurs about Jalen Carter. I don't know that the Browns would have want to pay Jalen Carter. That's why the Verse deal makes more sense. But you get Jalen Carter, you get Myles Garrett now coming to Philadelphia in week number 4, a huge deal for the Rams. Andrew DiCecco, his observations from OTAs are over at InsideTheBirds.com. And, of course, football at 4 right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Andrew. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mike. Talk soon.
As always, Andrew DiCecco and Football at 4, brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Big screens, big bets, game day. Hits different at Ocean. To learn more, visit the.com. Don't forget to check out live entertainment, including Matt Rife, July 24th and July 25th. Joey Diaz on August the 7th, and Sebastian Maniscalco, September 17th through the 20th and the 24th through the 27th. That's what's happening at Ocean Casino and the Fanatic Sportsbook. Mike Gill in the Sports Bash. We are live here at Ventnor Social, 6417 Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor. And again, if you come out today, a lot of stuff happened. You can sign up to win this trip to Baltimore to go. Is on July 31st. That is when the bus trip will go down to Camden Yards, filled with Phillies fans. And one of those Phillies fans could be you. Also, we are live here today, and they got a bunch happening right now. They got the pizza slices till 6 o'clock tonight. Stop in, get a little slice of pizza. And if you do that, they'll also give you a 15% off poker chip, good for your next pizza from Santucci's. We're at Ventnor Social, which is attached to Santucci's. Now, I like what we're doing at Ventnor Social during the break there, PG. We went outside. I was telling you, they need a place like this in Clearwater. We always are looking for the outside, but covered outside, because sometimes you don't have those places in Clearwater. It's like they have these places where you're like sitting on the concrete. You're like sitting outside. And
you're cramped in there.
Yeah, you're like you're like on the sidewalk. Yeah. Here, they have the nice outside. They got the huge TV. They got the upstairs. They got all the TVs on in here with the Phillies game just ending. We got Phillies fastball coming up on the other side. Jeff Kerr in the ballpark today. Couple home runs. The offense finally scores more than 5. Zach Wheeler gets the win. Phillies get the sweep. They sweep the Padres this season. All 6 games against the Padres. And by the way, with that win for the Phillies, they are now currently sitting in a playoff spot. If the playoffs were to start today, Yes, the team that started 9-19 and fired their manager.
Lost 10 games in a row.
Lost 10 games in a row. They are currently a playoff team. If the playoffs were to start today, they would be playing, by the way, in that playoff game. How about the Pittsburgh Pirates? That would be their first round matchup. Actually, no, they would be playing not the Pittsburgh Pirates. I take
St.
that
Louis?
back. They would be playing
St. Louis is up there.
one of the division winners, the second worst division leader. They would be playing the Brewers, it looks like. Looks like they'd be playing the Brewers. But the Brewers are coming up at Citizens Bank Park here in a little bit. All right, and when we come back, Phillies fastball today. We'll talk Phils. We'll get you back involved there. In the 5 o'clock hour, Kevin Durso, what is the biggest priority for the Flyers this offseason? Danny Briere said something that I think we need to discuss. That's at 5:30 tonight, right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
inside Ventnor Social on the front of us.
It was Adolis Garcia with a home run, an RBI. He had a big home run in the game that kind of got the things going for the Phillies. They would tack on 4 more, and they win it 6-4. They needed all those extra runs today because Jose Alvarado would give up a home run in the 9th, but it wasn't enough. The Phillies win it. Our Phillies day game watch parties continue here at Ventnor Social. You can stop out and enter to win a trip to go see the Phillies play in Baltimore at Camden Yards. And currently, if the playoffs were to start today, guys, yes, the Phillies are back in the playoffs. Now, Jeff Kerr is live at Citizens Bank Park. He is not with us yet for our Phillies fastball postgame, but Oscar Budijan is here. We'll start off the fastball with a Phillies win. And Oscar, they sweep the series against the Padres. Again, it's the second time they have swept the series against the Padres. They have swept the season series against the Padres here. And today they finally scored more than 5 runs in the game. Hallelujah.
13 games, Mike. 13 games before they go in and score more than 4 runs in a game. Hallelujah. Adolis Garcia, 1 for 4, a home run, a 400-plus feet home run. Look, a big double yesterday, bringing in a run. I hope he's turning it around. As I told you before, he's a very streaky hitter, and that's what we've seen the last couple of days. But I think, look, at the end of the day, I mean, what you saw yesterday from Sanchi and what you saw today from Wheeler, I mean, in 14 innings, 6 hits. 14 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. There's no way you're going to win 99% or 95% of the games when those 2 guys are pitching.
I do want to get later on in this conversation into what Sanchez has done and performed, but Wheeler today as well. He had a no-hitter going, through, I think, 5 innings. Was finally when they got a hit there. Those 2 guys at the top of the lineup. But how much easier is it for these guys to pitch when the offense got them 6 runs today? The margin of error. I mean, the fact that Alvarado gives up that home run and you had a little breathing room. We've been talking a lot here on Fastball, Oscar, about how good the bullpen has been, and they're starting to find the roles, but they can't be pinpoint perfect every single day, and the offense finally did their role today.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at our team, I mean, we know what Sanchez and Wheeler are going to bring you. We know what Duran is going to bring you at the end. I mean, he's going to, blow a game here or there, but the reality is we feel very, very confident with those 3 guys when they're pitching. The rest of the staff, is really good. I mean, are they absolutely, unbeatable? I wouldn't say that, but when you have, look, Christopher Sanchez is 7-2 now. Wheeler is 5-1, 1.46 ERA and 2.31 ERA. When you have that as your 1 and 2, you're going to win many, many baseball games. We've seen some good signs from Nola turning it around. I mean, that is very, very positive, as well as Luzardo. And look, things were clicking, Mike. We're 4 games above 500, so we're not a 500 team or below anymore.
Oscar, by the way, Jeff just texted. He's just getting out of the clubhouse, so he'll probably be jumping in to the Phillies fastball postgame here, where we're looking at the Phillies sweep of the Padres. And, we've been talking so much about the lack of offense. And, I don't know where you feel about the leash that you hold. How long of a leash is it for Adolis Garcia? Like, do you see signs that he's coming around? He had a hit last night. He hit the ball hard. He hit one on the screws. I think he's had much better at-bats. He looked lost for that 60 at-bat streak there. But is something kind of clicked in for him as he turning around? Are you a little bit more willing to give him a longer look, or do they have to continue to look around for a possible replacement there?
I just use the word with him TBD at this point. I mean, it's just 2 games, and, hey, it's not like he won 4 for 6 or anything like that. I mean, he won 1 for 3 yesterday and 1 for 4 today, but he got a big double and a home run. So it is definitely a positive sign. And there is Jeff. Jeff, you got the magic wand. You won, man. You won again.
Jeff, we were just talking about Adolis Garcia. I don't know if that's the first guy that you were talking to down in the clubhouse there, but his home run there really got things going. And we were talking about how the offense finally gave this pitching staff a little bit of breathing room, and they needed it today.
Yeah, they did. And Adolis Garcia was huge, right? And, we found out earlier this week on Monday, he actually came on their off day and, hit batting practice, did a workout, and seemed to be working out for him. I mean, what he was hit, I think he ended up hitting over 300 in this homestand, had a double, had a home run. They need Adolis Garcia to get going, and maybe this is the start of something. Like his emotion when he hit that home run, I felt that really sparked this team today.
Well, Jeff, and you just said it, and it's not even, the hit. It's the hits that he got and how he got them. Good at bats, squaring the ball up, hitting the balls on the screws there. Who we got there back there? Oh, hello, everybody. I see Destiny back there. Who's that? But, the fact that he's hitting the ball on the screws, double, home run, OPS stuff, those at bats. I tweeted out the other night, is Adolis Garcia finally coming around? He looked lost. He now starts to look like he's squaring some things up, and I'm saying, maybe I'm willing to give him a little bit more of a chance rather than entrepreneuring a trade to get him out or a trade to replace him immediately.
And he admitted to me after the game, he goes, he didn't look at his numbers for May. He did admit that, but he goes, if it wasn't the worst month, it was the second worst month of my career.
Look, it's Stevie D. I think 2 games. 2 games is not going to make a turnaround. I mean, it's Stevie D. We'll see what happens in the White Sox series, and then we'll continue monitoring it. I mean, the reality is, we had a good finally. We got 2 games, right? 9 hits yesterday. I don't know how many today. Close to 9-10 hits today. So we're seeing some more of the players. Like Alec Bohm has 2 hits today. I mean, it's Stott got a couple of hits. Realmuto didn't get a hit, but we're beginning to see some signs now. The question is it the pitching? Is it the hitting beginning to turn around? It's to be determined.
Well, you know what, though, Oscar? You talk about Realmuto. He had a big hit last night. You don't have to get a hit every day. It's that, hey, can you come up big for me on a day when I need you to? And you're starting to see that turn around. And, guys, I don't know, June, it's warmer, hitting season, yada, yada. Are there signs that this offense can at least be serviceable? Maybe, but I think we all understand, even when this offense was at its peak, they struggled when it mattered the most. And that, I think, will be the sell all season long. It's going to be hard to sell people no matter what they do offensively. Do we all agree on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 100%. I mean, this team, this lineup cannot be the same lineup we square out in the first game of the playoff. That's a reality. It's not going to be. We're going to see some very interesting changes. The question is, how much of our minor league system we will need to suffer in order to do that.
You know what, Oscar? It's funny because I asked Don Mangley about this today, about Felix Reyes, and what does he have to do to get back up here? Because he's got over 1,000 OPS and he's got 13 home runs and he's been crushing the ball since he's been back. And he said, honestly, there just isn't a position for him. They want him to play every day, and there just wasn't a role for him here. And he said, and he, name dropped Otto Kemp. He said, that's why Otto Kemp's down. They just do not have a role for these guys unless you shuffle some things around in the field. And maybe one of them is Bryce Harper going to the outfield, but we know that's not an option.
Yeah.
No, and they do have Stuart Baroa up here. We haven't seen him since the one game that he played out in L.A. So we haven't seen him.
Got a big hit, by the way. I got a big hit that day.
Yeah, he got a big hit.
He had a really good series or game against the Dodgers. Like he had the big hit, but also he's pretty good at bats.
But that's the thing, Jeff. Baroa is not here for his offense. Reyes and Kemp are more offensive players than defense. So Baroa is filling a role as a defensive guy and a speed guy. Kemp and Reyes were not able to fill those. They just didn't have a role.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, they're just – I mean, look, when you're getting, 7, 8 at-bats over a 2-week span, that's not helping them. And they're young players. They need to develop. And Oscar's pointed this out too. It's very, very hard to be a major league bench player when you play every single day in the minor leagues. That takes time. You need to be in the major. It needs to be more established in the majors. I think that's why Garrett Stubbs is up here, because he's kind of used to that. I know he's got a much different role, but this team could really use Felix Reyes' bat or Otto Kemp's bat in this lineup, but they have to play more, and you just can't give up on them after they go 0-4.
Look at this, guys. Now, listen to this, Mike. I'll just give this stat. We're 27th in all of baseball after today in runs scored. There's no way this lineup can be even half decent. I mean, it's significantly. Last year, we might have been maybe 18th at this point of the year, and then we took it up a notch over the summer. 27th in runs scored in baseball. Let's be clear. The two most important things: how many runs you scored and how many runs you allowed. That's how the games are won.
Boston is in last place in the American League East. Philadelphia has scored less runs than them. So keep that in mind. That's how bad they have been offensively. Kansas City, after today, Philadelphia just passed Kansas City, who's last in the Central. So two last-place teams have scored more runs than you have so far, and the Phillies are one of the worst scoring teams in the league. They did score 6 today. They win 6-4. Guys, I want to talk about – let's go to Christopher Sanchez. He didn't get all the way to the ultimate goal, but Oscar, I'll start with you on the historical – run that he just went on.
Well, in the live ball era, only 3 players have been able to achieve what he did. I mean, Oral Hershiser, Don Dreisler, and him. I mean, this is major league. At least he can go home and say, you know what, I accomplished 2 things in history. Number one, after 150 years, I got the biggest or the largest scoring streak in the history of the Phillies. And the second one is I'm on any left-hander in baseball. I'm so proud of him, how this guy have grown. And he's not just a great player. He's a great person, a great human, a person that cares a lot. You heard him talking about the city and what the city represents for him. And I thought yesterday I was super, super proud of how the city responded to his accomplishment.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw Christopher Sanchez today, and he looked like he always does, right? Like, it didn't a streak didn't end. He kind of looked upset it ended, that he gave up a run. But he also, I think he felt a sense of relief. It's like, okay, that's off. Now I can go be Christopher Sanchez again, go pitch and go do what I always do. And that's why I thought he had a really good chance of getting at least 50 scoreless innings pitched because of his demeanor. It's a shame that he had to give up a run last night because it would have been cool to keep this going. And I think this team really wanted him to keep it going because they said how exciting it was every time he pitched and how they're playing well as a result of it. But I mean, I gotta tip my cap to the guy. Like he just came in today, just sat in his chair, and he's just looking at stuff from last night, and that's Christopher Sanchez to a T.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching the game and I was on the phone with somebody, and France hits the double. And he's on second, and my buddy's like, "Oh man!" And I said, "Oh, there's 2 outs. There's 2 outs here. He can still get through this." And then who was it? Merrill, right? Jackson Merrill.
And a lefty.
And it was a lefty, right? It was a lefty, Merrill, who hit the home run today, by the way. But Merrill comes up, and he's a lefty. You're thinking, all right, he's going to be able to get out of this thing, and give Merrill all the credit in the world. I mean, that's a great at bat by a left-hander off a lefty to push that ball the opposite way. And what I was most impressed with is that after he scores the run, of course, the standing ovation is he went right back at the next hitter and went right after him and got the out. So he could have kind of got all over the place and got a little wonky. That shows you how laser focused Christopher Sanchez is.
And it was awesome that the offense scored 3 runs for him in the bottom of the, or 2 runs for him in the bottom of the inning because they got the win.
Absolutely.
Get the win.
And by the way, guys, Foley, the Phillies Sports Shop, has already the Christopher Sanchez signed baseball there. If you want it, I mean, he's. I hope John hasn't raised the price yet. So
he's got bobbleheads too from the bobblehead game on the 22nd. He's got a couple bobbleheads there if you want to go stop by.
He does.
Very cool. And obviously the Phillies sweep the series against the Padres. They're getting ready for the next series, and we'll be all over that tomorrow on Phillies Fastball. And, of course, the Phillies, as we talked about, with that win, Oscar, they're in the wild card now. They would be a wild card team. So they have climbed their way all the way back to the playoffs, and now they'll face the White Sox coming up next, and we will preview that series on tomorrow's Phillies Fastball. Jeff, live from Citizens Bank Park. You had Zach Wheeler today. Real quick, let's get a thought from you on Wheeler's outing. He had a no-hitter going there for a little while.
I was actually kind of joking to myself because I don't think about no hitters to the 6th inning. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's got a no hitter going. And of course, he gives up a base hit. And, I thought Trey Turner had a good shot at catching that ball. But look, Zach Wheeler pitch, I thought he was tremendous today. He really threw his fastball a lot, probably more than he has all year. And it prompted me to ask him, because he talked about this on his rehab assignment about his weight and getting back to kind of being him. And he thought that maybe that was the reason why his fastball wasn't there, even though it was still kind of spring training for him. So I asked him about it, and he said, you know what, I haven't really measured myself. But he said he's starting to feel like himself again. So, I mean, this
Well,
version we're getting is Zach Wheeler. He's not himself yet. What are we getting
right?
in 2 months?
16 whiffs, by the way. 16 whiffs today. I mean, it's Zach Wheeler. It's simple as
7
that.
innings, 8 strikeouts for Wheeler today. He did have 3 walks, which is kind of uncharacteristic. 2 hits and 2 runs. Wheeler is 5-1, and I think the Phillies are now 6-1 overall when he pitches in games that he throws.
Is a 2.31 ERA. It actually went under.
I said it
two for a little
yesterday,
bit.
guys. He's got to be in consideration for the All-Star game.
Oh yeah, and he actually was asked about that today too, and he said obviously there's a lot of stuff that has to happen, but look, I think he's got a shot, and one of the reasons why I do is because this game is in Philly.
Yeah, he's striking out. Interesting. Just one minor thing. When we look at the entire year, 48 strikeouts in 50 innings. So I just bring that up. I mean, as an interesting number.
Well, one more thing I wanted to point out from this game, Mike. I thought Justin Crawford had a huge impact on this game. On the base pass, stretching that single into a double, getting that steal, and then the error to get the third, and that kind of set the tone for a little bit here. So, if they can get Justin Crawford and Trey Turner on base more, they are going to score runs.
Give Turner credit, too. The opposite field hit that he had late in that game to tack on the 2 extra runs. That was a pretty big at bat for a guy who's struggled. That pitch on the outside part of the plate drives it down the right field line, and 2 runs come home. They did get a run on a terrible pickoff attempt that the guy throws away, but Turner uses his speed to come around and score. So getting those speed guys on the bases, big deal in this one here. Oscar and Jeff are back tomorrow for a Friday Phillies fastball, getting you ready for the Phillies and the White Sox, live from Citizens Bank Park. Jeff Kerr and Oscar Budijan here on Phillies fastball. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Go Phils.
All right, our Phillies fastball segment here on the Sports Bash Live. It is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Ventnor Social, which is where we are today. Ventnor Social, the great spot. We watch the Phillies here today. It's a great spot for you to watch tonight. Game, you can come to Ventnor Social, all the NBA Finals, and also a great opportunity to check out the pizza. They got Santucci's Pizza right here at Ventnor Social today till 6 o'clock. We got a bunch of it hanging out on the table. And I would imagine now that everybody's getting off of work and looking for something to do for dinner, how about stopping here at 6417 Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor for Ventnor Social? Hey, when we come back in the 5 o'clock hour, Danny Briere said this is the top priority for the offseason for the Flyers. But should it be? We'll ask our insider, Kevin Durso, coming up at 5:30 on the Sports Bash.
Did the Eagles make the right move yesterday?
Yes. If the situation is untenable, they need to make a move while they can.
And you have to align with the quarterback. DC?
You have to be if they made the right move. I don't know. That is me honestly speaking. I don't know. It depends on how good you think Jalen Hurts is going to be.
I think they made the right move because I think he's going to be great. I'll pick him right now for MVP. I'll do it. Yeah.
Boy, you are on one today. Yeah. My goodness.
Jalen Hurts MVP. You are in mid-season NFL form right now.
It's going to be an extreme year. It's either going to be MVP or they're going to be drafted in the first round next year looking for a quarterback.
It's our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Evan Cohen says, Jalen Hurts for MVP? Did they make the right decision to make the trade? There's a lot in that bite there. Make sure you check out Unsportsmanlike. Brought to you by Cross County Connection. It presents 6 new South Jersey Connect shuttles, providing fare-free transportation across southern New Jersey. Connect to jobs, colleges, healthcare, shopping, government services, and New Jersey transit hubs at no cost to riders. For details, call 856-229-7571 or visit drivelist.com. So the whole thing there has a lot to break down. Jalen Hurts MVP. Is that even feasible? Well, he's been in the top 5 in MVP odds in recent years. So I don't think it's far-fetched, but I wonder if you're going to get a Jalen Hurts 4,000-yard passing season.
Yeah, I don't think he throws enough to even get those numbers.
Do they not throw more? Do they throw more or less with this new offense and without A.J. Brown?
Under center with Saquon Barkley still, I mean, I would say
we're about the same.
About the same, yeah.
You see, I just don't know without the running aspect. The reason he was in the MVP award consideration in 2023 and 2022 is the running. He just doesn't run the way that he used to anymore. So Evan Cohen, love you, buddy. I'm out on that one.
And John McMullen said it. He said, remember that game? The Eagles went a full half without one passing yard?
Yeah, the passing.
That's not going to win you the MVP.
No, but forget the passing thing. Even if he throws proficiently, I don't see him being a 4,000-plus yard passer, a 30-plus touchdown thrower, and I don't see him running at the same clip as he used to. So, Evan, again, I love the fact that you gave us fodder, but I don't see that being feasible unless they reinsert him running the ball and that becoming a big part of the offense again, which I do not see. I think the days of Jalen taking off and running 7-8 times a game for 40, 50 yards and a touchdown here and there. By the way, is the tush push retired?
Well, I saw today that the Madden football game is going to have the tush push.
Is the tush push going to be retired in Philadelphia, though?
As
an automatic 4th down call.
4th and 1, I'm still running that.
Do you think that is a Nick Sirianni staple that he keeps involved in the offense? And by the way, Chris Canny, he says, I don't know if they won the trade or not. Canny, I'm going to tell you right now, this is what will happen. In the A.J. Brown era, the New England Patriots will not win a Super Bowl.
Will A.J. have good numbers under Josh McDaniels and Drake May? That's an interesting partnership. Right?
He might.
He goes from Kevin Patullo to Josh McDaniels. That's an upgrade.
I will say, though, I do not see the New England Patriots winning a Super Bowl in the A.J. Brown era. We'll come back with more Sports Bash. Phil's win today. We're live at Ventnor Social.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City.
All right, so we're live at Ventnor Social. By the way, the Sixers officially announced that Mike Gansey is the new president of basketball operations, and they have just announced he will have his introductory press conference on Monday at 10 a.m., the Gansey presser. Mike Gansey. Now, we talked to his former teammate, Darius Nichols. Now, were you at West Virginia, PG?
I sure was.
During the Gansey era?
I was. Kevin Pittsnoggle, Mike Gansey, that Elite Eight run.
You had like a epic West Virginia run.
Yes.
I mean, you had Pat White, Steve Slayton, and the football team.
Yep.
Pat McAfee. And then you had the Elite Eight. Now, you weren't there for the Final Four team, were you?
No, was that Deshaun Butler, right?
Yeah.
No.
So that's a heck of a crew right there.
Yeah, and then both coaches bailed and went to Michigan. Rich Rod, he bails, and then Johnny Beeline, he bails, goes to the Wolverines as well.
Well, we had Darius Nichols on, what day was that? Monday, I think? Monday or Tuesday? Monday, I think. Yeah. And if you missed that conversation, go back on the YouTube channel and watch it with LaSalle. He's the LaSalle head coach, Darius Nichols. So he played with Gansey at West Virginia. And
now, Gansey, he was a work ethic guy, right? He was a get down and dirty type player. I don't know how he is as an executive. He does
I'll ask you a question about him as an executive, everybody. He made the trade for Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell was in Utah. He was the GM in Cleveland. Do you guys look at the Donovan Mitchell trade as that's one that he gets a lot of points for? Because other than that trade,
yes,
he hasn't done a whole heck of a lot in terms of high profile. Now, he did trade for James Harden. I don't know if you like trading for James Harden or not, but he did pull the trigger on that deal for James Harden in Cleveland. But the big deal, that his biggest trade is the Donovan Mitchell trade. That's his signature deal. I don't know.
I like the experience that he has. I mean, he has over 10 years of working the draft, working with other GMs across the league, scouting. He does bring experience that I think is important to this job.
Yeah, I mean, he's done it. Put it this way. He has done it the way that it used to be done. He started in the G League. He was the G League GM. He worked his way. He was the G League Executive of the Year. Worked his way from that to then getting promoted to assistant GM with the Cavaliers. And then finally he was promoted to GM of the Cavaliers. And you would say his best moves, Donovan Mitchell trade in 2022, he orchestrated that deal that basically brings in Donovan Mitchell. So he has shown that he can go and target the high-profile player. He did that.
And that was a franchise-altering move. I mean, they lose LeBron James, right? They're kind of not there anymore. And then he brings in Donovan Mitchell, and they make the Eastern Conference Finals.
So Donovan Mitchell, he drafted Jalen Tyson last 2 years ago, and Tyson's turned into a really good player for them. He got Dean Wade, who has been a starting player for them. So he's shown that, and that's what I think Darius Nichols said, is he will leave no stone unturned. He will find talent. He will try to, and he values those G League guys. That's something that I think the Sixers need to do a better job of. What is the theme of these NBA playoffs? If you're a Sixers fan, you got Jared McCain starting in the Western Conference Finals. You had Landry Shamet, a guy that you had playing big minutes for the New York Knicks. You've got Julian Champagne, I think, who has been maybe the breakout star.
Great game last night.
Do you realize that to get Mac McClung on the roster for the dunk contest, they released Julian Champagne, and that's how they had to finagle him on, and the Spurs picked him up, and he's got he hit 5 of 6 threes last night. I mean, the theme of this playoffs has been guys that you had that you were unable to develop and get the most out of, and them excelling in other places. I laughed.
And Bridges, trading Bridges for Zaire Smith.
The Bridges trade.
That's
Paul
an all-timer.
Reed. Paul Reed had a big playoff for Detroit. But I said, listen, if the Sixers just kept McCain and Champagne and Shamet. Now, the Shamet trade, Shamet's been all over the place. He's played for multiple teams, but they traded him.
Was he in the Harden trade?
No, he was in the Tobias Harris deal.
Okay.
They traded him to the Clippers for Tobias Harris. And so
Toby, that's another one who kind of had a good season for Detroit.
Yeah, but I don't need to.
I mean, yeah, you don't have to
count. But
he's an honorable mention.
There's a lot of Sixers who had playoff runs this year. But my point was, if you just had McCain, Champagne, and Shamet, and you just kept those three, would you have had enough depth to make a run through the Eastern Conference with what you had? One of the problems is their starters were fine. It was they had no depth on the team.
Yeah.
They had no guard play. So if you had McCain as another guard and Julian as another wing man, maybe that would have been enough depth for this team. But that's the one thing I think Mike Gansey is going to have to do. They are going to have to do a much better job. He also got Max Strus. He's another guy that the Sixers just never have. That guy who can just catch and knock down shots. One of the things you watched, did you watch the game last night, the NBA Finals?
Of course.
Okay, so one of the takeaways from that game last night, when you watch that game and you watch a lot of these playoffs, what the Knicks do and the Spurs did in the Oklahoma City series, they rebound the basketball. They get second chance points. And the Spurs beat the Thunder, because in the second half of Game 7, they got offensive rebounds and they got second chance points.
And they were down 3-2 in that series. So, I mean, being down 1-0 to New York, I still think Spurs are, they're still in it.
I don't know. One of the things that the Knicks do so well is they get second chance efforts.
Yep.
They rebound. I mean, Josh Hart, how many rebounds did Josh Hart have last night? My God.
He had 11 at one point.
It's so infuriating that Josh Hart is the rebounder that he is. I mean, he just is everywhere. I think he had 50. I think he ended with 15 rebounds last night.
I'm pulling it up right now, but I think that it's not just the rebounding, though. It's the fact that I think it's the sacrificing. You mentioned about Josh Hart getting the rebounds. Well, he also has scored almost nothing the entire game. It's the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns in the second half said, you know what? Bleep this. I'm going to guard. And I'm going to get in Wemby's face. You know what I mean?
Wemby, I thought last night, no, he was rushing through things. I think he was trying too hard. I think he was trying to it was like listening to a podcast on a speed a little too high. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 1.5.
Is that what it is? 1.5 setting?
2 is track style.
Right. 2 is like chipmunks at hyperspeed.
Yeah. I just felt like in the fourth quarter specifically, but the second half of that game, it felt like he was just trying too hard to do everything.
But again, part of it was Cat got on him. They literally at one point just switched and they were just like, Cat's going to take him and good luck. And it was the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, those guys, they weren't looking for shots constantly. They said, you know what? My team needs me to get the rebounds, play the defense. That's a huge part of the Knicks' success last night.
What did Brunson finish with last night?
Jalen Brunson at 30.
And what was his shooting?
He had 31 shots.
I was going to say, but that was where – so he had 30 points, but he did not shoot the ball well last night. There were so many shots that he was taking that against the Sixers, you feel like he makes that shot. And then last night, especially 4 minutes left in that game, you're like, man, he just can't get one to go, but that's a shot against the Sixers he makes all the time. And then he hit that corner three.
The fourth quarter Brunson, yeah.
When the fourth quarter Brunson three, that was the one that I thought buried the Spurs. I think it put them up 6. And that's the shot where he's not having a good game. He's not having a good game, but he just is still Brunson, if he wins this title, he becomes an all-time playoff performer on this run. And I don't know that off one run that is cemented in your history, but for 1 year, it's like Adolis Garcia in 2023 with the Rangers. I mean, he was locked in. He wins the MVP of the World Series, and I think he won the MVP of the
ALCS, yeah.
Yeah, CS too. He was just ridiculous that year. Brunson's on that kind of heater right now. where you almost feel like destiny of everything that's happening that's lining up for them to win this thing.
Well, there's a moment, if you remember, in the fourth quarter, it was like early in the fourth quarter, maybe like 10 something left, right? He hits this like mid-range jumper, and it was almost like he was looking for contact, but he never got it, but he still made the awkward shot anyway.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And you look at the look on the Spurs faces, it was almost like they knew. It was like once he made that shot, the Spurs knew.
But that's the shot that he makes, that he was shooting shots that he normally makes, and you're like, man, it's not going in for him tonight. It's not going in for him tonight.
But
and
when
then he
that
makes
shot
that
made,
one,
yeah.
And he made that one and the three in the corner.
The three in the corner was the dagger. The three in the corner was the moment the Spurs, they could have just pulled all their starters and given up.
Well, the Spurs, too. Right, they go down the other end. They try to get a three, and freaking Hart jumps in there and gets a rebound.
Yeah,
right.
And you're like, oh, my God. Right when you need a second chance point, the game is in peril, Josh Hart's the one that grabs it. That, and then there was the play when Vassell, the ball went off his hand.
What? Really quick, Mike, I was going to say, I think that rebound you're referring to is the reason why the Spurs are going to change their lineup in game 2. Because remember last night, Wemby was really the only legitimate big guy on the court in that starting lineup.
That's a lot of times for them.
No, but I mean, I could see a scenario where they turn to maybe, just to use an example, a Keldon Johnson, right? And maybe give him more playing time in the next game.
Possible. I mean, Mitchell Robinson, we weren't sure if he was going to play. He ended up playing last night. And I thought Mitchell Robinson was going to be a big factor in the series because of his size and his, length and all of that. If you didn't have him, it would have been interesting, because one of the problems with Karl Anthony Towns is he gets into foul trouble so much.
Well, and that was the big part of last night too, is that, he got in foul trouble all in the first half. In the second half, he was under control defensively.
That was the way against the Sixers, though. He kept getting into foul trouble, and then the Sixers wouldn't do anything about it. It was almost what happened in Game 7 when Wemby got into foul trouble, and Oklahoma City wouldn't take the ball to him either.
Well, also Chet Holmgren was playing soft as Charmin toilet paper.
Yeah, playing the role of Ben Simmons for the night is Chet Holmgren.
Channeled his inner Ben Simmons and excelled at it.
Let me ask you guys, we talked about it the last time we were here at Ventnor Social. Would you guys, if Oklahoma City said we want to get out of this contract, would you take on that Chet Holmgren deal?
Absolutely not.
Really?
I have zero interest in what I've seen from him in the postseason. I feel like he is one of those guys who is just way too inconsistent. He needs to go to a team that is going to turn to him and be like, we're not going to depend on you. We're just going to have you as part of the rotation. It's kind of like how you guys remember how Andrew Wiggins completely changed when he went to Golden State. He went from being, I have to be the guy, to being, I don't need to be the guy anymore.
You don't think he would partner up well, though, with Maxey and VJ?
You would think he would partner up well with Shea Gilgeous.
Right, exactly. If he
he was great last year.
He was.
He was great in moments,
I wonder, but what I wonder is it like Wemby took his soul?
Yes.
Yeah.
But is that against everybody or just Wemby?
It wasn't just the Spurs, though. There were times in last year's postseason run as well, on the run to the NBA Finals, where he did disappear for certain games. Like, there were games you were just like, what happened to Chet Holmgren? So it wasn't, I think Wemby was like, I've seen you not have great games in the postseason. I'm just going to burn your soul out of you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We've seen these things in the past where you have a bad playoff, and then that kind of defines you and carries onto your next. Ben Simmons obviously never became the player.
He was never the same.
No, he was not. He has never. Now, some of that could have been injury related, but no, I think mentally he lost it in that series and just never gained any whatever level of confidence that he had. He completely lost it, and I wonder if Holmgren went down that same road. But this Knicks team right now, I picked them to win the series yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
When we did Nuggets, and I think everybody just assumed that the Spurs, but I don't know, man. It just seems like something about that Knicks team. Now,
the
keep
fourth
in mind,
quarter stuff, man, they just rise above. They rise up. They make the plays. They grab the ball.
I was going to say, I'll tell you what it is. It's what I said before. To me, I don't think we can discount how selfless they have played. Like, Mike, you remember years ago when Joel Embiid used to have his back and forth with Karl Anthony Towns, and we used to be like, Cat ain't that guy. He's not the guy to make the selfless play, right? Well, now he is, and I think that's a huge part of it, is it not?
A little bit of that, yes. But yes, he has changed because I think in Minnesota he was the guy, and
right
here they have a guy. It's Brunson. Brunson, the personality of the team is of the best player, and Brunson being the best player, that's a tough team. In Minnesota, they were not a tough team,
right?
And this team. All those guys, Anunoby, he's a grinder. He's a do-it-all. Josh Hart is the grinder of all grinders. He's the guy that's a pain in the ass if he's on the other team, but if he's on your team, you love him.
He's basically a more disciplined version of Draymond Green.
Landry Shamet playing 33 minutes last
night.
The
one thing that could bite them is they really only play 7 guys.
True.
So that would be the one thing there is if they essentially, although the Spurs don't play very much more than that either. I mean, they played Harper last night.
28 minutes.
And other than that, they don't play a whole heck of a lot of other guys. So the war of attrition here down the stretch, I think that the one difference for the Knicks is who's the shot maker for the Spurs in the close game that you say, I can see that. Now, you could say Wemby, but he's not really like a shot maker.
I think it's supposed to be Fox. I would have. That's at least who
he had
I would.
A bad night last night.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He had a bad night. So if you have a guy who's supposed to be your clutch guy, remember De'Aaron Fox won Clutch Player of the Year a few years ago. It's like you have a guy who's supposed to be your clutch guy, but then he has a bad shooting night. Then what do you do?
I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast, and they were trying to come up with a comp for Castle.
He had a great series against OKC.
He's such a unique guard. Do you have a comp for him? Some of the comps they give, I want to see if you hit any of them.
I mean, the first guy to come to mind is probably not a good comp, but I'm just thinking of his role. Early Lakers Rick Fox.
Nope, that wasn't one that I heard from them. You got one?
I would even say like VJ is a good comp for Steven Castle.
That's not a name they brought up, but some of the names they brought up was Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Same
kind of an unrefined offensive game, but just makes, but more of a defensive guy. Another guy they brought up was a bigger version of Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, these are all VJ comps too, by the way.
Yeah, but see, my only problem with those comps is that Stephon is not one of those guys who is like a score first guy. Like I feel like in some ways.
Yeah, but Butler's not like that either.
No, but Butler will just give me the ball. I'm going to take over this game.
In moments, right? Or Castle, and that's what I'm saying. Castle's not a refined shooter.
Castle almost like finds his moments in the flow of the game.
And the fact that he's that.
They still have to defer to Wemby, though. They have to run things
right.
to him.
The other guy they compared him to was Sprewell.
Okay, that's one I can see for sure, because Sprewell was not a guy on the 99 Knicks team that necessarily was the number one option, but when he knew he needed to step up in the flow of the game, if he saw that Allen Houston was having a bad night or Larry Johnson was in foul trouble, he kind of like stepped in when he needed it.
Well, Castle's definitely like the third option on this team.
Right.
And I don't know if I think I like the Knicks offensive options. Maybe, I mean, Brunson to me right now is on an all-time heater. And I just don't see that guy failing, right? I just don't see him. I just don't see him. Like, I can't see him coming up small in a big moment.
I mean, he went back to the locker room last night in the first half. I had no confidence whatsoever that he wouldn't be back out there.
He made a funny comment about that last night when they asked him about how he's feeling with all the injuries, and he said, "I'll be good for Friday."
Of course he will.
Yeah, he was very terse on that one. He was quick and terse on that one. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. By the way, that game 2 tomorrow night, you can listen to it here on 97.3 ESPN. Game 2 tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Did you watch any of that game?
I
there,
did. Vegas coming to play.
Josh, I know you watched that game.
Of course. And I'm so fascinated by the idea that John Tortorella is looking, he's going to win a cup as a guy who came in to be a coach with like 6 games left.
I was going to say, I think there was 8 games left in the season.
The only guy I could think of that ever did that, I do some research, but off the top of my head was Larry Robinson with the Devils like 20 years ago when that Devils team was like shaky.
Isn't hockey the only sport that you can literally do that? Just change the voice
100%.
with 5 games left, and then your team goes on a run.
I don't know. I think you could put a new guy in the dugout
in September.
Yeah,
really, and have him
what
go.
The hell's a baseball manager? What do you guys? What do people think the baseball manager is doing?
Good point. Good point.
I mean, here's the lineup card.
Here's your book.
Here you go.
Hey guys, why don't you go hit?
I mean, generally, the thing about this that made it unique was that Tortorella wasn't even with the organization.
No.
So he walked in there and didn't know anybody. It was just like, hey, guys, I'm the coach. Now I'm making changes. Like,
apparently, like the only people he knew in the organization before he came in was like the ownership group. Apparently, he was like friends with them or something.
Wild.
And then Carter Hart. How about that part of the story? You can get into that with Durso coming up. How
about Gossesbear scoring on Carter Hart?
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted at me last night about, man, it would sure be nice if the Flyers had a defenseman like Gossesbear. And if you remember, they gave away Gossesbear essentially for salary cap relief.
They had to attach assets to him with him in order to move that contract.
But see, that's where like it's revisionist history. Because like part of the reason why they got rid of Gossesbear is because Gossesbear is not a number 1 defenseman. He's a guy who has benefited from playing next to a number 1 like Miller in Carolina. So he's benefited from not being the center of attention. And when it was him and Provorov in Philadelphia, you had 2 guys who were not number 1s, and you were just like, fingers crossed, they'll figure it out.
And the Carter Hart one, that's the tough one for me. I mean, because the Flyers were in such a tough spot. They had to pretty much get rid of him. You know, they didn't really get compensated for it.
No, nothing.
And you just watch this guy go on and, play like the guy that you knew we had a number 1 goalie.
I mean, how many of these are we going to go through? I mean, it's hard. It's Bobrovsky. I mean, all these former goaltenders, the Flyers, going out there and playing well somewhere else.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to talk about that because Danny Briere, that I think really stood out so much that I want to talk to Kevin Durso about it coming up next because you're watching Carter Hart. You've watched Sergei Bobrovsky. So should the Flyers extend Dan Vladar long term? We'll get into that and more on the Sports Bash. Hey, let me tell you about my friends over at Clark's Moving and Storage. You're down in Rio Grande. Anytime your buddy says, you want to help me move? You know what your answer is, right? It's, of course, I don't want to help you move.
Keith Hernandez, Jerry
right?
Seinfeld. Yeah.
Help you move? Well, Clark's Moving and Storage would step in and be your friend. They would help you move. And they did it for me. They could do it for you. They're one of the largest companies in the area. And trust me, they got it all done, moved everything. Not a dent, not a scratch, nothing. On time, professional. They got it done. It was quick and easy. And I would certainly recommend doing it again. 609-889-0780. Visit clarksmoving.net. Tell them Mike Gill from the Sports Bash sent you. Coming up, Kevin Durso. Should the Flyers extend Dan Vladar long term? You'll hear what Danny Briere said about that coming up next on the Sports Bash Live on your home for the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 2 tonight.
The NBA Finals on ESPN Radio. New York Knicks strike first.
Brunson driving in traffic. Hits again. Jalen Brunson taking over in the fourth quarter.
Now the pressure quickly mounts for San Antonio. How will they respond?
The guys are going to have the ball more. We're going to have more of the responsibility to step up and set the tone.
Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Coverage begins tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern.
Listen to the NBA Finals. Knicks, Spurs, Game 2. Tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.
Big color, bigger savings. Sherwin-Williams Super Sale is here. Get 40% off paints and stains June 5th through the 11th with prices starting at $30.89. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
With the Sports Flash, I'm Tony DeZeri, 97.3 ESPN. On Wednesday, Phillies starter Christopher Sanchez had his consecutive scoreless inning streaks snapped just shy of 51 innings. It's the fifth best streak all time. He did not allow a run in the entire month of May, plus the 6 innings in Wednesday's 3-2 victory over the Padres. He passed Bob Gibson, who had a 47-inning streak back in 1968. The Phillies completed the 3-game sweep of the Padres on Thursday afternoon at Citizens Bank Park, winning 6-4. Bryson Stott and Alex Bohm each had 2 hits and an RBI. Adolis Garcia with the home run. Zach Wheeler on the mound. He went 7 innings, allowing 2 runs with 8 strikeouts. NBA Finals, the Spurs will host Game 2 on Friday night. The Knicks taking Game 1 Wednesday, 105-95. Jalen Brunson with 30 points. The Knicks have now won 12 straight postseason games. The sport is brought to you by Progressive. Bundle home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive. I'm Tony DeZeri, and that's the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. Temperatures and humidity will kick up a notch tomorrow as we have some real summer-like weather on the way heading into the first weekend of June. Tonight, partly cloudy and mild, low temperature 64 degrees. And tomorrow, we'll see a mix of clouds and sun. It will be warmer and more humid, high of 88. 91 on Saturday, hot, humid, and breezy, partly to mostly cloudy. Rain chances will start to tick up Saturday evening. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Welcome back, Sports Bash Live. Ventnor Social, stop out tonight for the Stanley Cup. Tomorrow night, you got the NBA Finals. You got Phillies baseball. We're out here for the Phillies. Of course, they won already today, and it's been a fun day out here. Beautiful weather. People down on the beach all day. Looks like we saw a lot of people walking down the street here wearing the old bathing suits, getting ready for summertime down the shore. But we're thinking hockey. You got the game tonight, Stanley Cup game number 2. You can listen to it on 97.3 ESPN But Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. You know, Durso, the Flyers have kind of reignited the fan base here a little bit, which makes me look at some of the things going on for the offseason. And I saw Danny Briere telling NHL.com something yesterday that I thought was kind of interesting. And he alluded to that Dan Vladar was going to be a priority for the Flyers this offseason. Now, I don't think it's crazy that Vladar would be a priority there. He says he's a priority. I'm not going to hide from that. It feels like he wants to be in Philly. We want him to be here. But there has been some murmurs that he might get a 5-year extension. And I think that's where you come in here. Is that crazy to say this guy gave you one solid year and then you go and lock him up for 5 years? Would you rather see a little bit more, or do you see what's going on with Carter Hart in the Stanley Cup Finals? You've had Bobrovsky walk out the door, and you failed so miserably with goalies. Or do you want to lock up the goalie for 5 years, or would you rather see something else like a 2 to 3 year deal? How should they play this thing?
Yeah, it's interesting. To me, they're going to do this. Let's put it this way. He's calling it a priority because it's almost a handshake agreement already. It's done practically. They just can't announce it until July 1st. That's the only holdup here. It's pretty much a done deal that he's going to be here. And the more that the 5-year thing comes out, which, to clarify here, it would be a 5-year extension. He's under contract next year already. So it's in effect a 6-year contract. There is risk to that. Obviously, a goaltending is a unique position. Obviously, more risk for injury over a longer period of time. It's going to keep him under contract into his early 30s and closer to his mid 30s. He'll be 34 when the contract is up. That's a risk. But I think you also look at how goalies come at a premium and don't want to be playing that game where you're trying to find where you can get one. Most teams are going to lock them up anyway. You're not going to find one in free agency. And if you go to trade for one, you're going to trade an arm and a leg to get somebody who played as well as he did over the course of both the regular season and the playoffs. Is it a gamble because of one solid year and then have to see what happens? Yeah, they could wait on it, but then again, you could wait on it and then the price goes up. That's where the 5-year thing comes in. You could do a 3-year extension and you might be paying him much closer to, say, the number that Bobrovsky got on his last contract. Bobrovsky was making $10 million a year. I'm not saying Vladar would have gone that high, but think in the 7 to 8 range. Or you get him for 5 years and you lower the cap hit closer to, say, $5 million. And I think that becomes a natural transition where he doesn't have to be the starter for the next 6 years. He can be the starter for the next 3 to 4 years. And then as one of your prospects comes in and takes over, he still has a role on the team that's very valuable. Teams really need 2 goalies at this point, and he kind of falls naturally back into more of a secondary role, but still has a value to the team.
Right, that's where, to me, I don't have a problem saying, hey, Vladar played well. We need a goalie. We've looking around for the goalie. I know Briere said he was our MVP. I mean, all of that. But 5 years seems like one of those things where this is where the former player, maybe as the GM, gets a little bit too like, I got to take care of the player. Let's give him 5 years. Like, do you look at it and saying that the 5? So do you think that 5 years is a mistake?
It has risk. I'll say that much. I mean, it may turn out to be a great deal and he has a role that lasts through the duration of the contract. Like, to me, it's not going to be a mistake if he's your starter for 4 of the 6 years that he'd be under contract and then is the backup or 1A for the last 2. And there's still value to that because by that point, who knows where the cap's going to be? If he's making $5 million, that's probably what a backup will be going for at that time. That's where I see it making sense, but you have to get there first. You need to see him replicate those numbers and that performance next season. And then whenever this new contract takes over. So that's where the risk is involved. But I don't think it's a mistake to look at him as the starter for the next 2-3 seasons easily and then start to think about what happens from there. I think Briere is trying to, certainly he could be helping out a player and giving him, a just reward for his good performance. But I think Briere is also trying to look out for that long-term cap implication and what else he has to do to improve the team.
Yeah, and again, I don't think anybody's complaining that why would you extend this guy? I think it's the 5-year thing. They gave Dvorak a 5-year deal. It almost seems like, this is, and I'm just saying, like, Briere is a former player where maybe he's saying, I got to help out the guys, the players, and give them, he's handing out these 5-year deals like, hey, you get 5, you get 5. And you wonder if you're going to be talking about like the Phillies situation where you've extended these guys and given them long-term deals where maybe they're being a little overzealous with a team that, we've discussed. If the NHL playoff format wasn't so wonky, they likely would have been swept in the first round.
Yeah, quite possibly. And, like I hear you with the comparison there with the 5-year deal thing. To me, there's actually, I think there's greater risk with Dvorak's deal because at least there's a path for Vladar that isn't immediately like the ultimate ending of trying to get out of the contract, right? Like they extend Dvorak for 5 years during this season. His contract was up, and you're kind of sitting there already looking at the deal going, it's going to have some no trade protections for 3 years of it. And then you have an out at the end for the last couple of years. If you're already thinking about the way to get out, it's probably not the greatest deal to make. I don't think the Flyers are looking at Vladar and saying, we're looking for a way out by extending him. I think they're looking for that natural transition to a prospect to take over the starting job. And right now they got 2 guys who are 20, 21 years old that you're thinking, okay, 3-4 years down the line, when they enter that prime territory of 24, 25 years old, and Vladar is still here at the tail end of that contract to be a mentor, to be a guy who can take 30 some odd starts a season, that becomes valuable too. So I don't think there's as much risk with that because of the fact that there is a way to see that contract through and not immediately think about, what are you going to do once, if the value tanks on this? What are you going to do about, I don't think they're exploring it that way. I think that they see a guy who at the very least is serviceable through the duration of the contract, even if that means moving from the primary starter to the backup down the line.
He also said that it would take a wait-and-see approach moving forward with Matvei Michkov. He said, quote, I think after this season, he's a very competitive guy. I think he wants to prove to everyone there's more there. I know what he prefers at this point. It's the best thing for him to wait and come back and show us what he's all about. Does that close the door for you on any trade talk on Matvei Michkov?
Yeah, absolutely. They're not trading him this offseason. They want him to come in and prove himself. And I think Briere, that's actually a comment that sounds to me like Briere's doing the player a favor in terms of what the next contract is going to look like. We could start talking about this already and get ahead of when your entry-level deal is over. But you didn't have the best season. So the value's not going to be there right now. So come back, play really well in your contract year, and show everybody what your worth is. And I think that's where that wait and see approach comment came from. It's not the same thing. It's the opposite of what Vladar did, where Vladar came in, had an outstanding year, and you're looking ahead going, if this is what we can expect, and he gives them every reason to have confidence in it with his attitude, his consistency throughout the season, all of that, then that's what he's going to be worth when you make that next move and do the next contract. In Michkov's case, you're trying to let him build back to what he was as a rookie, have that full season where he has, as Rick Tocchet put it at the end of the season, has the redemption tour and then gets what he's worth and is paid like a top player.
Yeah. Kevin Durso is with us, our Flyers insider. You watching these Stanley Cups, obviously you see Gostisbehere scoring on Carter Hart. Carter Hart wins the game. He's got him in the Stanley Cup Finals. A little bit of what could have been. I mean, do you watch the whole Carter Hart thing? I guess was a very tough situation that I don't think you can say that the Flyers messed up. But it is frustrating to see. Here's a guy that you thought could get you to the Stanley Cup Finals and solve your goaltending issues, doing it for another team.
Yeah, it's interesting because I look at Gostisbehere in this situation. And I go, it's been 5 years since they traded him. It's a lot further down the line. Everything involved with the Vegas side is just really fresh, right? Like Tortorella was coaching your team 14 months ago, and Carter Hart was your goaltender in January of 2024, and then next thing you know was no longer, obviously, with everything going on with the Hockey Canada thing and everything like that. And when the time came for him to actually be able to come back and play after everything with the trial went through and everything like that, he barely really played. He played 18 regular season games. He was out of sight, out of mind with Vegas for a long time until all of a sudden Tortorella was in with 8 games to go. Hart came back with 7 games to go. And all of a sudden it's those two that are kind of behind this surge that they've had through the playoff run, and it does certainly make it a sore spot, that especially with the way things ended, kind of more for Hart than Tortorella. I think Tortorella, everybody kind of could see the writing on the wall. Hart's a different story.
Refresh for the listeners the Gostisbehere thing, because we all remember Gots to be here. That was Ed Snyder famously saying, he's got to be here. And he came in with a bang. I mean, he was a guy who, initially was a star here. He came in and excited people. What happened there?
His seasons back and forth from the rookie year to his second, to his third, to his fourth is a little bit like your roller coaster reference. It was up and down constantly. You didn't know which version of him you were going to get from year to year. And then as it kind of got toward the end of things, they needed him. The type of coaching that they were bringing in throughout the course of this wanted a more defensive style. That's not him. He's the offensive minded defenseman. And as there was less of a fit there, they kind of were doing everything they could to move him in any other way than what they actually did at the end. He was left exposed for expansion to both Vegas and Seattle. No takers, because you would have to take on the contract. They placed him on waivers pretty famously. I remember talking to you the day that happened. They put him on waivers. Nobody claimed him. So back to square one with that. And when it came time to trade him, Chuck Fletcher basically just did whatever it took to get rid of him, which was throw 2 draft picks into the mix as well and say, okay, the contract's gone. The salary cap, cap dump is complete, but he went on to revitalize his career. And I honestly, that's just through a series of good decisions for Gostisbehere. He has a good year in Arizona. He lands in Carolina at the trade deadline the second year. That really was a perfect fit. He did leave for one season. He signed with Detroit for a year and played there. But when he went back to Carolina, he just is a perfect fit to play both in Rod Brindamore's system and then to play in the role that he's in, because he doesn't have to be a go-to guy from a defensive standpoint. He plays third pairing minutes at 5-on-5 and plays on the power play and puts up some good point totals along the way. So that's why it works out for him.
I guess you look at the game from the other night, 5-4 offensive game. A little surprising what we saw from Carolina in the Flyer series, right?
From both teams, in my opinion. I mean, Vegas was playing that way against Colorado, too. It was everybody who thought you were getting a 2-1 game was sorely mistaken pretty early on. And of course, the way I look at it, the game started, those kind of opportunities that you have happen, some odd man rushes and things like that. You don't think you're going to get transition hockey that often with these two teams. And then toward the end of the game, it was a classic Tortorella finish because you got Mitch Marner blocking a shot. Mitch Marner's not the guy you think is going to block the shot with the game on the line, and he does. So that's the Tortorella effect for you.
Well, hockey coming down the wire. We got the Stanley Cup Finals tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Game number 2, Carolina and Vegas. And, of course, the Flyers offseason will be here shortly. Kevin Durso will be all over that. And, of course, the Flyers looking forward to being a more deep participant in the NHL playoff. They were knocked out by Carolina. Carolina, of course, will play tonight against Las Vegas. Who do you got in this series, Durso? We never had you on for your official pick.
I put it out there before the series started, so I'm not revising it for any purposes of watching game 1 first. I picked Carolina in 6. I think that we got an up-close look at the best team in the league this year when it comes down to it.
Now you sticking with that?
I'm going to stick with that. I think, especially it was shocking to watch the first game of their previous series against Montreal, the team that didn't allow more than 5 goals in either series. Getting to that point, gave up 6 in game 1 and then shut the door on Montreal the rest of the way. I expect them to do something similar tonight for sure. And then to carry that through the rest of the series and get to that point where it feels like their year. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way it goes. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas pulls it out either. They got there with the hot hand and all of that. So it certainly wouldn't be a shock if it went the other way, but I really think it's Carolina's year.
All right, there he is, Kevin Durso, at Kevin_Durso. Follow him on the X platform, and he'll be back in the offseason with more Flyers stuff here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah, love getting a little Durso on a warm weather day. Makes you feel like the Flyers are relevant again.
That's what happens when you
Yeah, man.
Got to do that stuff.
Coming up, the Phillies win today. They sweep the Padres for the second time in this season. They swept them 2 weeks ago, and they swept them, or was it last week? We'll recap the Phillies win over the Padres and end things here from Ventnor Social. Back with more Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Stanley Cup Final on Sports USA, and we're in Carolina as the Vegas Golden Knights battle the Hurricanes in Game 2.
Backdoor, they score! That's hockey, baby! Shane Gostisbehere, the ghost appears.
Game 2 tonight on your home for the Stanley Cup Final, Sports USA.
Listen to the Stanley Cup Final. Game 2 tonight. Hurricanes, Golden Knights. Coverage begins at 7:30 on 97.3 ESPN. It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, getting ready to finish up our Thursday show. Phillies sweep the Padres. They sweep the season series from the Padres. Second time in series history that they beat the Padres all 6 times they played. Last time they did was 2025. 7 straight wins against the Padres dating back to last season. It's their longest active win streak against a single opponent. The only other team they've beaten more straight times, the Tampa Bay Rays. They've beaten them 9 straight. They snapped a 13-game streak of being held to 4 runs or less. That was the longest streak going back to 2017. Zach Wheeler today, 5 1/3, no-hit innings. 4 times in his career, he's gone at least 5 no-hit innings. Overall, 7 innings, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts for Wheeler. He goes to 5-1. Adolis Garcia hits a home run. It's his first homer since May the 6th. He snaps a season-long 24-game, career-long, I should say, homerless drought. Garcia, picking it up a little bit. Do I think Garcia is going to turn things around? No, but it is nice to see him getting some better at-bats.
Let me tell you something. That right field that he plays, he is very reliable out there. That catch he made L.A., saved a couple runs last weekend. That's
it was. Now, listen, and I said, I'd be willing to hold on to him just for the next month to see if he can. I don't think he's going to do anything offensively that's going to be like, wow.
No, but your defense would take a hit.
I would keep him, though, to be the 4th outfielder and go into play games like in the 7th inning. You put him out there in right field and replace, move Marsh over to left, something to that effect.
Well, Marsh is now playing every day, right? I mean, he's supplanted himself to play every day.
Looks that way, although they hit for him in the 6th inning the other night. Remember that? That was kind of an interesting move that they ended up making where they hit Sosa for him, and then he struck out, and then Sosa hits a home run later in the game.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people were like, wait a second, I thought Marsh, we'll see. Marsh so far has earned and is holding his own against left-handed pitching. That's something he has not done in the past. Against righties, he's hitting 348. Against lefties, he's hitting 286.
There you go.
So
that's
guess
an
what?
everyday player to me.
It sounds like he has earned his everyday stripes for now. We'll see how that holds up over the long haul of a baseball season. Against left-handers, by the way, he only has 42 at-bats.
The problem is the guy behind him just bats into a 6-4-3 double play every time, and that's Alec Bohm.
So Phil's win today, and they'll move on to take on the White Sox coming up next. Ventnor Social, everybody. Great spot. If you've never been here. You know what's funny? I was telling Shane that worked here. He was during the afternoon shift today, and he's usually here when we're here. And I said to him, it's amazing how many people ask me, like, yo, what's that Ventnor Social like? I said, if you haven't been here, it's just a cool place. Like the vibe on the walls, the artwork on the walls, the baseball cards, the Saquon Barkley, the Fanatic, all the games. They got the upstairs, outside. You can sit out on the, underneath the porch out here. It is just a cool vibe in the place. That's out on top of the great food and drinks and the very good people here at Ventnor Social. So make it an appointment to be out here. Our next time here will be July 29th, and we're going to be giving away the trip to go see the Phillies play the Orioles at Camden Yards. Take care, everybody.